we live? We are live. Aloha, family. Thank you for joining us. We are live. I am just waiting for my Instagram to turn on. I think it works. What? It works. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. I had to end my Instagram because it was making feedback. Anyways, thank you for joining. We are live on, well, now we're live on YouTube, Twitch, and X. We tried to go live on on Instagram, but it didn't quite work out. It was just feedback and echoing, so I turned it off. This episode is brought to you, or brought to us, by Archon Mounts. If you don't know who Archon Mounts is, they are one of my partners. Go to archon.com, and they have mounting solutions, tripods, whether you have an iPhone, Android device, or if you've got like DSLR cameras or whatever you may have. This is actually some of their equipment and all that. But if you are a content creator, whether you are here on X or you're on other social media platforms, definitely go to archon.com. Enter promo code Hawaii, you get 20% off your entire order. And they actually ship pretty fast. They're pretty legit. So be sure to go to archon.com. When you hit the checkout section, make sure you put Hawaii at the promo code section, and you get 20% off your order. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Thank you, guys. Thank you, family. We got a very special guest today. He's a very dear friend of mine. Met him. It's a funny word that I say that I met him, but I met him virtually through social media. Met him through a live streaming app, which was bought out by Twitter in 2015. We've had many opportunities to meet up through various meetups. We used to do a lot of, and I don't want to give it away just yet, but we'll talk about it as we bring him on. But he has been one of the forerunners and the pillars of content creation, not just here on X, but also on Instagram and also on Twitch. He's actually got a much better following and momentum than I do on Twitch, but we still do Twitch just because we want to expand our footprint. And we'll talk about it as we bring him on, but he is definitely not just an inspiration. And I know he probably is going to dispute this, but he is a mentor of mine when he doesn't even realize it. But the reason why I say that is because he has been one of the guys that has pushed through many boundaries, many barriers, many mountains. And so I'm excited to have him. We're going to bring him on. His name is Jim in Chicago. And if you haven't shared this out, reposted, retweeted, whatever social media content you're on, be sure to do so. We'll be back as soon as this video is over. So, how you doing?
Hey, what do you say, Gilo? How you doing there?
I'm good, man. I'm going to get my coffee. My son made my coffee. Thank you, Cole.
Have at it. Hey, you've got people helping you out on your show. Look at that. That's awesome.
Hey, I'm going to give you the full view for a second. I got to fix my door. Sure. But go ahead and say hello. Do your whole greetings. I'll be back in just a second.
Absolutely. And a very pleasant good evening, everybody. Welcome aboard to Gilo Sessions. What an honor and a privilege it is to be a part of this broadcast. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jim. I am from the northwest suburbs of Chicagoland. Thanking you for spending your Saturday night with us here on Gilo Sessions. Please follow Da Real Greg Lopez on all the socials. A veteran live streamer and a great friend of mine, and one of the first people who I followed on live streaming media over 8 years ago. And here we are Saturday night, and what an honor and privilege it is to be alongside somebody who I looked up to when I was just merely on my iPhone watching live streams. And Greg was one of the very first who I watched doing his saltwater broadcasts. And Lord knows what else. And that man right there is the man with the master plan.
Man, we had no idea what we were doing.
No.
We had no idea.
Improvisation 101, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Hey, look at that fancy microphone. Look at that Shure mic. I'm a huge fan of Shure, man. They're such good mics. For real.
And I'm also a big fan of Archon, Greg.
Yes, sir.
And use that code Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii, 20% off.
20% off of your Archon purchases.
Yeah.
And leave that right here for right there for the world to see.
Did you buy that or did you win it?
I did. Actually, another Periscope OG, or one of the original scopers, as he used to be referred to back in the day, Joanne, known as Go Rice Girl, had a little promotion with a group that she created called Perry Girls. And the Perry Girls had a little running promotion where if you use the code name Perry Girls back in 2015, now today in 2023, use Hawaii for your 20 off. Back then it was 15 if you use the word Perry Girls. And that Archon mount was pretty much used in conjunction, not with this exact phone, but with another one during my infancy on live streaming media 8.5 years ago.
Well, I got to ask, what iPhone is that?
Oh, this is just a 14 Pro Max. I mean, just a regular iPhone 14 Pro, not Pro Max.
Those are good.
My daughter has the 14 Pro Max downstairs.
Yeah, I have it too. I love it, but I hate it because the touchscreen to me is just not. I'm spoiled, maybe, I don't know, but I use it for all of my social media and for business. So yeah.
It's just the touch is not as intuitive as we'd like it to be. It seems it's almost oversensitive to me.
It's heavy. It's very heavy too, from what mine is. So.
Yeah. And of course, this I bought 2 months ago, right before the 15 came out. So just my luck.
Well, the 15 is good.
Yeah.
But Tala's got the same one, so I got to put her up here. Tala is she's such a pillar in our community, man. She's been so supportive and she fights for us. She goes to war for us. We don't ask her to, but she does anyway, which we love you, Tala. And if you guys are not following Tala _no excuses, she's on all social platforms just like me and Jim. And how's the weather in Chicago?
Oh, it was seasonable today here in the Chicago metropolitan area. We had sunny skies, temperatures in the mid 50s, kind of average, but next week we're supposed to have a significant warm up. Temperatures slated to be in the mid 60s by Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday next week. So unseasonably mild. I would say about half of the trees have lost their leaves. The other half, they're going to wait till probably around Thanksgiving weekend when I'm trying to put up all the holiday lights out outside my house. And then the leaves will fall down and blow into my yard and tie in with all my Christmas lights.
You guys had snow though, didn't you?
Believe it or not, we did on Halloween evening. Yes. Temperatures plummeted the week before. Temperatures were near 80 degrees here in Chicago. And then we had not one, but two significant cold fronts. We had a mild cold front that came through that dropped temperatures down into the mid 50s. And then after that, a second one came down, an Alberta Clipper came down from like Alberta, Saskatchewan, that area. And that brought in a plume of significantly colder temperatures to the point where we had a dusting of snow on Halloween evening.
And then now it's hot, right? I mean, dude, let me tell you something. So I'll get to my story later, but
yeah.
I know I've been here too long. When I told my wife, this is, I think last year or last winter, I told her, hon, it's going to be hot next week. And she's like, oh yeah? What is it going to be? Like 52. And we were cracking up because in Hawaii, we would literally call the president of the United States, bro, send the National Guard, FEMA, hazmat. Bro, it's freezing cold over here. But now that we're majority of our time is in the mainland, like 50 is, I'm sweating. Like, what the heck, bro? Like,
right? Yeah, it's especially in the Pacific Northwest, places like Oregon, Washington State, even Northern California. You're gonna like near Eugene and down towards Eureka. You're gonna have that effect where after being on either Big Island or in Oahu for X number of years, even if we went, I would say with the exception of going to higher elevations, Like if you're near like Haleakala, or if you're like near somewhere like in a higher destination on Big Island, where temperatures, like if you're over 10,000 feet, it cools off. And
Wow, look at you flexing on your Hawaiian. So tell everybody how is it you? Well, actually, before we get into that, I just want to recognize our Twitter fam. Amy, thank you for being in here. There's quite a few that jumped in and out. I apologize that I can't pop your comments on the screen to all of my ex family. For some reason, Elon hasn't approved it again. So Bob the Patriot, or Bobo the Patriot, thank you for jumping in. So yeah, bro, tell everybody, why is it that you speak Hawaiian? Like, why is that? Just
very
curious.
little bit. My goodness. It was actually the first big vacation I ever went on. I was, 8th grade, and my aunt, uncle, basically invited us over to join them and my cousins on a trip over to Oahu and Maui. And I was in 8th grade, and my dad stayed back. He didn't want to have them spend too much money. My uncle had, I guess they had a little extra cash back in the late 70s. Very few people did back then. But we stayed, God, where did we stay? It was the Waikiki Malia, which is now defunct. That was on King Kamehameha Highway, about 2 blocks away from the mall. So we weren't next to what's the pink hotel, the Royal Hawaiian?
That's the Royal Hawaiian. Yeah.
Royal Hawaiian. We were not there. My aunt and uncle stayed there. Yours truly and my sister and my cousins, we all stayed at the Malia over on King Kamehameha Boulevard or Highway or whatever that was, the main drag there with the 3 lanes and the island in the middle there with all the trees. We had to walk like 6 blocks to get to the beach and see Diamond Head and all of that.
That sucks. You got to walk 6 blocks.
I know, in 80-degree temperatures. And that was like the dark side of Honolulu that people didn't know about back then either.
That's the ghetto.
Right?
Yeah, it's the ghetto. That's where you want to get a prostitute and, drugs and all that stuff. People don't know that, right?
Yeah. I mean, everything's at Los Angeles is like all the palm trees and millionaires and TV and movies and all of that stuff like that. But there's also the dark side of Hollywood that you don't see the boarded up buildings, the graffiti, the homeless people, the freaks, and Honolulu had their share too.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you because I wanna pump you up because we got to work harder. I'm gonna pump you up. So if you guys don't know who Jim is, I'm gonna say it again. Jim is a friend of mine. I've never met him organically, but it's crazy because there was a time when we were doing Perry meetups, so if you don't know what a Perry meetup, all that means is a group of content creators. We built so much momentum on a live streaming platform when Twitter bought it out that we were creating a community, right?
Yep.
And we were literally meeting up in LA, Vegas, New York. Like I would fly out to LA and San Francisco to do promote our company that we had built a lot of momentum with. And it was so cool that we would just meet up. And while Jim is in Chicago, there's a lot of broadcasters in Chicago. Like it was like family. It's weird. Like what the heck? And in Hawaii, of course, Hawaii. Yeah. It was harder to get people to Hawaii just because of the cost. But we did I want to say 6 or 7 meetups in Hawaii. One of them we brought I had 2 American Idols come out. Of course, we all know Olivia Tai, who is a finalist on American Idol.
Yep.
She's the winner of American Idol in, I think, Korea or somewhere Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And so I say all that me and Jim never met up organically. I'm like, what the heck?
Not yet.
Yeah. But now that I can just drive over there, I just gotta drive harder.
Just gonna I-80 and go east for about 18 straight hours.
Yeah,
driving.
But so that's how Jim and we just started doing creating content. So it was so silly because when I first started live streaming, guys, don't listen to Jim because he's just don't listen to him because everybody says all this stuff like about me and whatever. But truth is, I was trial and error. My first broadcast, I had my shirt off, thinking that would be cool, and I was standing a door. I thought I'd be cool and hip, do it on a beach. I was literally on the beach, and then it's like nobody watched. Like one person, and they were probably creeped out. Like, what is this guy doing? Is he going to take off his clothes and like jump in the ocean? And I'm like, so we all learn, right? But And then Jim, I know he. There's two things that really stuck in my mind about Jim. If you guys don't know Jim, he was a part of a crew. I think they call it. I'll let you explain, but I'm gonna just lay the foundation. Thunder Crew was one that was I enjoyed that, and the other one was the mental health awareness, and that really hits me heavy, Jim, because I think I can share this, and I'll be very wise and careful on how because I am going to talk about it eventually, but I didn't tell you yet, Jim, but if you read my social media, I was in a parking lot last night in Portland.
You saw that.
Yeah, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like 3 cars down from me in a parking lot, this biker gang came up. I don't know if it was a gang, and there was a shooting, and I was right there, and I saw everything. I got on my dash cam. I'm like, oh, there's the people screaming and fighting. I'm like, I literally put my hand underneath the steering wheel, waited till I got it open, and I just got out of there. And it's because I didn't know the whole context. And what I am going to contact the PD and get. I'm actually going to consult probably an attorney first, just to make sure that I'm within, the context of law and all that. But you just don't know what groups are involved in what. So my priority is obviously family and all that. Because I watched it transpire from the bar to the parking lot, and they were arguing, and it was just crazy. I've fired weapons before. I'm a firm believer in self-protection and all that, home protection, but I've never witnessed someone get shot before. And you would think I'd be like crazy traumatized, but I'm not. I feel bad in a way, and I just feel that I feel sad for the city. Like I told my wife last night. I told her because she was, we're 3 hours apart, and told her, I don't feel fear or anxiety, but my heart is broken for this city. It really is. And I thought about you in Chicago, and then I thought about mental health awareness and how important that is. And I'll let you explain that. And one more thing I wanted to Catalyst. So we're definitely going to talk about Catalyst because that's the one thing you've done, Jim, that has been continuous throughout all the changes in social media. A lot of changes in the past 3, 4, 5 years. And right now, everybody is really heavy on audio platform, which is great because I love audio content because I use it when I drive, when I'm traveling. So, but those are the 3 things I definitely want to touch on. But I want to say thank you for continuing, Jim. So pick one, talk story about it. I know what it is, but for anybody that doesn't know, man, put it on a plate for us, serve it to us.
No pressure.
Not at all, bro.
This is like an honor to be, first of all, be a part of GLO sessions. I remember you had Tal on, you had some other distinguished guests. You had Ron on as well, from Alaska, who's known as Papa Bear Alaska.
He's the coolest.
Oh my God, I love that guy. And I got to get his book. I keep saying to myself, I'm going to get it. And I'm like, I got to get it. Well, I'm going to throw it right back at you, Gilo. Greg, I'm going to let you pick the topic, and then
mental health.
No,
let's do that. Yeah, let's do mental health because you've done a lot.
Okay,
in that area. So, and before you do that, for those that don't know, I'm going to surprise you, and this is all public on your public profile. So don't get mad at me, Jim.
Oh, okay? Please do.
Yeah. So,
Archon mouse.
No, not that.
Here we go. Oh, there's my wife. There's Mo. That's Maureen, my wife.
That's your wife.
2.5 years. Archon. Oh my God! Yes, share those. Please do.
So explain this one.
Oh boy. Yep. Well, that's me in New York back in February of 2018. And people are saying, Jim, how did you get to New York? What was it, like a Periscope meetup? What, one of those things that you did back when you were, 5 years ago or whatever? No, actually, believe it or not, I was flown into New York to be a part of the Today Show over there in New York City, over there at 30 Rock, at 30 Rockefeller Center, over at NBC Uni's New York studios over there. And the reason why I was flown in there was because of an event that involved my daughter. And there she is in the chat, my lovely wife of 26.5 years, Ashley's Law. That's her handle. That's Maureen. Everyone said Maureen. That's her, Ashley's Law. Basically, what happened was we were there following a situation where we were we were fighting the state of Illinois and our school district for medicinal cannabis use for our daughter on school grounds. And basically, obviously, my wife and my daughter was not allowed to get onto a plane. I'm sure TSA would have had a field day with that. Yeah. So, last thing we want to do is have a bunch of TSA dogs sniffing out, the wife, the daughter, yours truly, over potential medicinal cannabis patches and tinctures. But back in February of 2018, we were in about our third month of trying to help our daughter beat epilepsy that was
Oh,
caused by some chemo treatments that she received when she was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 2. So, just to make a long story short, our daughter Ashley was diagnosed with leukemia back in December of 2008. It was ALL leukemia, so we did a bone marrow test, and it didn't require anything outside of that. But what happened was we got her into remission in 2011, and then from there, what happened is one of the treatments that you get for chemo when you have ALL leukemia is a spinal injection, because blast cells, or red blood cells that carry cancerous stuff in them,
right.
tend to linger in your spinal cord. They hide there from your lower back up to the back of your brain, to your inner brain lobe in the lower back part of your head. So what they do is the oncologists go in there and they do a chemo shot lower back, decent sized needle, to
Oh,
eradicate and get rid of those blast cells. Unfortunately, in September of 2018, the chemo treatment was a strong one. It traveled to the back of my daughter's head and she seized big time. Blue in the face, fell back in the back seat of my wife's car driving home from volleyball, where I was playing about 20 miles away, and non-responsive, eyes rolled up in the back of her head, blue in the face like this. My wife called 911, and fortunately, there was a fire station literally about a mile west of where she was at. The EMTs, the first responders, were there immediately. They stabilized her and they transported her to a nearby hospital. And then by then, they got her, the breathing apparatus, all
right.
that stuff hooked up to her. And then they ultimately transferred her over to her main hospital where she had her chemo treatment. So, unfortunately, from that point forward, Greg, she had 1 to 3 seizures a day with little or no notice, 24/7, 365. Um, we
Well, now,
tried all sorts of treatments.
what do you do if she gets into a seat? Like, do you have to? Does she start chomping on things, or like out of no?
Um, Non-responsiveness,
Mm,
body drops, head drops, um, some she called them shakies. She would
mm,
shake a little bit, and she'd be terrified and scared. And keep in mind she had special needs going into this, because between the ages of 2 and 4, the most formative times for a child's brain to get the motor skills and the occupational and physical skills all happened between the ages of 2 and 5. Unfortunately, that was the time when she had her chemo treatments. So it was a helpless moment for us. Even our oncologist, who we love to this day, and we said without him, she wouldn't be with us right now. We see him every year at this picnic with the hospital that we had Ashley treated at, and they're helping hundreds upon hundreds of other children with other childhood illnesses, in addition to leukemia and epilepsy and everything. And but the oncologist that was there, he just looked helpless. Even he was crying. And this guy's a grown man. He was in his like mid-50s at the time, and he was passionate. He cared. He wanted to do everything for our daughter, as he does for everyone else that he worked with in the past. And the happy ending of the upside story of this is, after 7 to 8 years of wallpapering our house with all the Western meds we brought her up and down on, and their horrible side effects, including aggressiveness, obesity, um, lack of responsiveness, lack of memory, inability of walking, all of that stuff. we found a way around it. And I mean, Western meds work for many people. I mean, kudos to the doctors, the nurses, the neurologists, the oncologists, the anesthesiologists, all of them, the nurses, the doctors, the behind the scenes people. It works for many people. It just did not work for us. And we were up to
Well,
here with the Western meds. And
well, let's go there. I know we talked about it before, but
yeah,
let's go there. This is our platform. Like,
yep.
I'll lead into it. Like, I totally respect medical professionals and their training because I have family that, matter of fact, my the last podcast I did, or prior to the other one, was a clinical psychologist, and she believes in modern medicine. She also believes in Western medicine. And I have no disrespect for anybody that is in the field. What I do have a discord or disconnect with, and almost malicious feelings towards, is the Food and Drug Administration and the pharmaceutical industry,
Mhm.
because of there are agendas, and I'm not doing conspiracy theories today, but that's for another day.
Right.
But
Right.
it's true that Western medicine, I'm sure there was a time when there were, for the majority, good intention, but in today's culture, in today's capitalistic
Mhm.
agenda, the modern medicines are really designed for a purpose, and it's not to stop, or it's not preventative. And I think what you share with your daughter, I highly respect that, especially going the natural route, or what's the word besides natural? It is another word until we.
Well, there's the word, the catchwords, and my wife is in the room. She can interject on the chat here as well. Basically, like homeopath,
Homeopath, yeah.
And obviously the late Dr. Tony Bark, who was the one that introduced us to the patches and the tincture that we use to this very day, over 5.5 years later, almost 6 years now next month. The first thing she told us was, get her off of all of the processed foods. Get her off of all the McDonald's, the Burger Kings. I'm naming corporate, the fast food products, and go to an all keto diet. And then it was a very long procedure to get this down. So basically, obviously, there we go. Homeopathic, naturalist, integrative, or integrative. Yes. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Maureen. My lovely wife, Maureen, in the chat. So basically, the homeopath referred us to Dr. Tony Bark. And she was the one that helped us single-handedly bring her down from the Western meds. And she was on 3 meds at the time. And I don't remember them off the top of my head, but all I know is the side effects were more horrific. And this was at the time when we were at our last wits, back in June 2nd of 2017. We had enough of Western meds after we were grocery shopping one day. My wife was tired. She wanted to go out and just do some mom, wife things, girl things, all that. So I said, I'll take Ashley grocery shopping. We went grocery shopping. We were about done. And, we forgot spaghetti sauce for Monday. Spaghetti's always on Monday. So
on Mondays,
the shopping cart behind me. And I go, we're this way, and then we'll check out. We'll go home and we'll grill burgers or something, And right when she turned the corner, and mind, we're in a grocery store on a Saturday. She turned the corner, and all of a sudden, her head hit the concrete floor at the grocery store, and she suffered a pretty significant concussion. And she had a little bleeding on the back of her head, and we brought her into the emergency room. And even prior to that concussion, she could barely speak. She could speak 1 or 2 words max. She could barely walk. As a matter of fact, if you remember, some of you who remember my Periscope broadcasts, my daughter was in a wheelchair.
How old was she when that happened?
When she had her concussion, this was 2017. She was 11 years of age. And we got her into the emergency room. And the doctor said that the pool of blood did not go down; it was going up. And they said to prevent further damage to her brain or anything else, they needed to go in there, do some microsurgery to terminate the origin of where the bleeding was coming from. Because if more blood got into that brain, it was going to make things even more difficult for her growing up when she get older. So we said, go in there, terminate the area where the bleeding is coming from, and let's just hope for the best that she comes out from out of it. And she did, like a brave soldier that she is, like the brave warrior that she is. We got her home in like 2 or 3 days later, but that was the last straw. We were done with the Western meds. The side effects were horrific, and it seems like you were alluding to earlier, Greg. It seems like it's almost like they created these things just I mean, I'm just paraphrasing what you said. It just seems like it created more problems than solutions for us, you know? And
You know, to interject with what happened with your case, my my oldest son, he when he was born was allergic to. I'm gonna run down. My wife, when she watches, she's gonna get mad because I'm probably gonna miss a few. So he was allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, avocados, bananas, milk, eggs, wheat, soy, any any seafood actually.
wow, my goodness.
So pretty much when you go into a grocery store, anything that is in the middle of the grocery store, like whatever lasts through an apocalypse,
Yep.
he couldn't eat that. Everything else that would be perishable, which is all on the outside of the supermarkets,
Right.
for the most part, he could eat that.
Wow.
And so you think about it, it's like, how in the world is a human allergic to food? That's unfathomable. And then we started researching, right? Go ahead. I see you got your.
Which is interesting because I'm Generation X, I'm 58 years of age. When we were growing up, there weren't, at least I don't recall any peanut allergies.
Me neither.
Or I don't recall a lot of these other things that a lot of kids are going through nowadays, as far as allergies and allergens and all these other um, odd side effects and everything. And I'm glad they're being detected nowadays. But I'm wondering if it's a part of the fact that it's a combination of how foods are being pre-processed in a poor way without regulation, so big corporate entities can make bigger profits because it costs less to process them that way. Back when we were growing up, for example, for soda pop, it was cane sugar. Now you're seeing a lot of corn syrup now, and
Well,
even more than ever. It seems like there's like deregulation, a slap on the wrist if you dare cross the line from the Food and Drug Administration. You know what I
dude,
mean? And then
this is so deep because you said sugar. So there are companies now that are
Mhm.
promoting, oh, we're putting real sugar now. But what they're
Yeah,
not telling you, it's not cane sugar.
right.
It's not cane sugar.
Exactly. Yeah, they're the ones that do put in cane sugar is literally, it's going to cost you out the nose.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. They're going to make you pay for it because, by gosh, by golly, corporate entities may have to, spend money to make it.
So my mom passed away of cancer in 2014,
Oh, I'm
and
so sorry.
um, I mean, my mom wasn't the healthiest of individuals. Like most Americans, like we love bacon, we love drinking sodas.
Oh, yeah.
So she had um type 2.
Uh,
And of course, when you have type 2, they give you some, I forget the name of the medication. Someone can look it up. If my wife was here, I'd have her look it up. But whatever medication they give for that. But then also she had there was for her pancreas. So she had pancreatitis. And so there was a medication that they give for people that have pancreatitis. And what that did was the side effects of that led up to pancreatic cancer.
oh, shoot.
And so I'll post all that up later, probably in the comments or in my Twitter X account. But um, I know for a fact that medications in general, they do work for a purpose, but it's not the purpose that we would like, right? It's not for prevention. It's more for like, let's stop what already is happening. I think with what your wife posted, homeopathic, a lot of homeopathic is pretty amazing. It's just that a lot of times you have to take a higher dose, or like the sublinguals. If you ever taken those sublinguals with it's like 33 it's a little white beads. You stick it on your tongue. There's a lot of homeopathic remedies that work. It's higher doses, and you gotta do it in a very consistent manner and keep doing it. And but with the modern medicine, it's what bothers me is that it's kind of like, let's say you're a police officer, and the same agency that moderates police departments is also the judge. So you got judge and jury and police officers under one department. That would already be corrupt when you just look at it. If he's, wait a minute, you're a cop, but you're also going to convict me? Wait, you're going to feed me food and regulate what I can eat, how I eat it, but wait, you're also going to regulate the drugs that are going to be a patchwork to my bad eating habits? That's fishy. Without sounding conspiracy theory, but just think about it. Like, why do we have a government agency that moderates the food we eat and the medication we take? And I think not Justin, that's the Kevin Trudeau. I think this is the author. Kevin Trudeau wrote a book, The Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. And that's how we got started on this whole journey of, and I'm not saying we don't I still take some Western medicines once in a while, but it's rare.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. As a matter of fact, I'm not saying that all of them are bad. It's just, we as consumers need to be more aware of what's out there and use more discretion. We shouldn't just go in full-fledged and trust everything that the Food and Drug Administration tells us. And as I had alluded to earlier, a lot of this stuff has great benefits for so many people. It just doesn't. There's some things that each of us as individuals have to weed out for ourselves.
I should probably put a disclaimer for anybody. We're not doctors. We're not nutritionists. Yeah. We're just stating our opinion. And my opinion may be strong from time to time, but do not hold me responsible. I'm not responsible for your poor eating habits, nor am I responsible for your poor medicinal habits. I'm just sharing my heart. So I've been known to be wrong from time to time. So
says me as I eat a whole bunch of Smarties here, so I'm like, okay. Wait,
Smarties, they're like a mini version of the Sweet Tarts.
Sweet Tarts, correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of a retro product from the 60s and 70s and early 80s.
You remember when we were kids, you could actually buy bubblegum cigarettes?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you'd blow on it and smoke would come out?
Yeah. And they were like 15 cents and 25 cents plus a penny for tax here in Illinois. Yep. Remember those days very well.
Well, that's the same time when you could go into actually any store. My dad would give me like quarters. I could put it in a machine.
Yeah.
And I'd slide it in.
Yep.
And I would get a packet of cigarettes for my dad.
Yeah, the little knob you'd pull
the knob. Yeah.
Here, Dad. Here you go, Dad. Here's some of your heaters.
Well, that's the same time that soda cans were like thick. I don't know if you remember that. Like you couldn't step on them like how you do today.
They were made of tin.
Yeah, they were very thick.
And steel. Yeah. And then
steel, that's right.
In the 70s. And there was also the returnable and deposit bottles. Before the 2-liter plastic bottles, there were bottles made of glass. I remember being able to take like a wood crate of 24 bottles of Dr. Pepper or Coke or 7-Up or whatever, or Pepsi, and then bringing it back to the grocery store. And then you'd get like a dime for every bottle that you brought back. And then you use that money to buy more soda.
You said pop twice. Now, why did you say pop?
Because I'm in Chicago. I'm in the Midwest.
Okay. Because I used to live in the South.
For soda.
So in the South, they would say pop.
Actually, everything in New Orleans was a Coke, according to my niece Erin.
Oh no, you're right. So because I lived in South Carolina for 8 years.
Oh, I love South Carolina.
And the Carolinas were either Pepsi or Coke.
Yeah.
Because I think Pepsi is in North Carolina and Coke is in Atlanta, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a smart person. Look,
everything's a Coke. Yeah. The Coca-Cola factory is. I've not been there, but I've heard really cool things about it.
Well, Mexican Coke.
Oh.
It's the best, and I don't drink Coke I haven't had a Coke in almost a year, so
Oh, I'm jealous. I got some problems in that department. I love soda, or I
I
like
mean,
Coke.
I still have sugar. It's just that I made the Coke was very corrosive on my teeth, so I'm like, you know what,
Uh,
I'm gonna stop doing that.
yeah, that's smart. That's really smart, and that's cool. But
So
but
soda pop is Midwest.
I guess unless there's other people in the Midwest that are on here, my wife's in here. She says Coke. My niece in New Orleans, she's a doctor over at the LSU School of Medicine down there, and she always, I remember her like 20 years ago, Jam, everything's a Coke. We sing it's a soda or a pop, everything's a Coke, and it's
So
like,
why is Chicago considered Midwest if it's up north?
I think anything that encompasses Illinois, um, Indiana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, that area, it's the Midwest. And technically, if you want to be more into specifics, places like Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota are upper Midwest.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, heartland. So in other words, I mean, granted, we have a big river called the Mississippi that runs right down virtually the middle part of our country. But um, if you think of like everyone thinks of Illinois, they think of Chicago. They don't think of the state capital of Springfield, or they don't know Decatur or
No,
Peoria.
Springfield is Simpsons.
Springfield is in the town in the movie or the TV show Simpsons. Correct. It's
So okay,
also a place. It's known as our state capital here in Illinois.
I just know it's Simpsons and there's a nuclear power plant. That's all I know.
Yes, no nuclear power plants in the one in Illinois, but
Well, in the Simpsons, that's how I learned about
yeah.
them. Yeah.
But that's where we get the Midwest pretty much. But
Going back to your daughter. So how old is your daughter now?
my daughter is 17. She's a senior in high school now,
Okay.
seizure free now for nearly 6 years, and she still has special needs. However, the thing that that is mind blowing, 5 years ago, we wouldn't even think she'd be doing POMs, or she would be doing track, or she'd be in theater, or she'd be doing dance or POMs or any of that stuff. She is doing all the aforementioned. When I was
No,
doing my broadcasts on the Periscope live streaming app back in 2017, she was in a wheelchair. She could barely say one or two words. She could barely walk. We had to sit there and shadow her up and down the stairs and to and from the car and everywhere we'd go. And here we are, fast forward 5.5 years later, she's running 200 meters, probably quicker than me.
you have video of that?
I don't have it handy.
Oh no, that's okay. Like
It's on my phone and it looks horrible. And I don't wish any horrible videos on anybody. I should have uploaded that and had it on my computer here where I can jump in there and share it. But there are some still photos of her if you follow me on my socials at Jim in Chicagoland on Instagram, or JS Scope over there on X or Twitter. You can, there might be some archival footage or maybe some still photos, but it's just an example. Yeah, there we go. Dance, POM, soccer, track. She's starting to pick up basketball. She rides a bike. We have a three-wheel bike that we had custom made, like a trike for a big, tall girl. She's as tall as Maureen. She's got to be 5'5", 5'6" right now, Ashley. She's as
well,
tall.
that's like an average height, I think, for girls, right?
She's still growing. That's the part that scares me. She's going to be taller than her mom if she isn't already, And but
well, let me ask you this.
yeah,
So if she's doing all of these things, why is she still special needs?
it's pretty simple. When she was diagnosed with leukemia, she was 2 years old. And between the ages of 2 and 5, those are the most formative years for your mind. So whether it be motor skills, whether it be physical skills, whether it be occupational, or even like life skills. I mean, it's a work in progress right now. And it's one of those things where, like I said, 5 years ago, she could barely speak one or two words. We're doing her IEP, which is kind of an individual evaluation process that we do every 6 months with the school and with the administrative office. And we have our own doctors behind the scenes that help her with all of her, her developmental skills and everything. Will she ever be independent? Will she be not codependent? I doubt it. It's just something that when you're between the ages of 2 and 5 and you have heavy doses of chemo injected into you to fight off cancer cells, it's kind of there's a fork in the road. It's either A, you hope the cancer stays away and goes away, and then she becomes mainstream. Or in this case, we gave her the chemo, unfortunately, at the age of 3. The lower injection of chemo traveled to the back of her brain, and she seized, causing some significant brain damage. So when you have a bunch of methotrexate, that's the lower spinal injection of chemo that was administered that day back in September of 2017, and have that heavy dose of that travel to the back of the brain, the likelihood of having full recovery from that is very little. So we had to beat the cancer first and then have to deal with what we have now going forward.
She's overcome a lot, though, I would say.
Yeah. We make great progress, and we're still making great progress with her. And as my wife alluded to, it's intellectual delays. And there are some things where, like I said, she now has a memory where she remembers Disney World. She has a memory when she was like 5 when she went there. She remembers things that I don't remember. And that is either Jim's getting early stages of Alzheimer's, or she is just getting crazy smart very quickly. But I'm just proud of that kid and the progress that she has made. We're still helicopter spouses, especially what we've gone through for the last, 14 years, 15 years now. And, but I'd rather be where we are now than we were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years ago.
I'm going to pause and I'm going to get real with you for a second. In a good way. My heart breaks for you guys, like in a good way.
Thank you.
Because, I'm walking something similar with my brother. Not similar in the things, but like just the heaviness of having a loved one that needs care. And I'm going to speak life over your daughter. And I'm not going to preach to you, and I'm not going to make you come down and do altar call and we pray to Jesus. But I will tell you this, Jim, that if my wife, if her womb was not opened to where she could conceive, it would be very hard for me to say this to you. But because we have experienced miracle after miracle within her womb, when a doctor very clearly said you will never have children, and then that by the grace of God, all the odds were defied. But I will say this, and I'm not making a prophetic declaration or declaring anything out of just false praise, but I do believe that what your daughter has already achieved, that moves my heart legit. And my heart breaks for you because I know how hard it can be to care for somebody. But I will say this, that I'm excited, brother. Like, remember that TV show, I don't know the name of it. You might know. But it had that song, "Oh Bloody, Oh Blada, Life Goes On."
Life Goes On. That was on ABC back in the mid to late 90s.
That was a show, right?
Yes.
Remember the kid that was on there?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he was an actor. He got paid millions. And he was special needs. And you talk about, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna put this. Look at this comment. Okay, so I don't care what anybody tells me. Like, brought intellectual delays, brought I stutter. I told Tala the other day, I said like 127 times. So intellectual delays, okay, maybe. Yeah. But I know a lot of. Okay, I'm gonna pick on this guy, and this is public. I don't care because this is live. It's gonna be documented. But Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist guy, and I gotta be careful because I am, quote unquote, a pastor. But Brother Man has gone off the deep end. He is so smart. Brother Man has lost. Like, I don't understand some of the things that's coming out of his mouth. He's so smart, intelligent. Like he's a African American astrophysicist. Like, but that just goes to show that there are some really smart people out there that have intellectual delays.
Correct.
So your daughter, I'm telling you, bro, like I'm just going to speak life over her, and that there will be a continual, measurable, reasonable, measurable progress in her life. Same thing as I'm declaring over my brother every day, you know.
Right.
But I got to ask you and Maureen, since she's in here, how you guys doing?
We're doing okay. We're doing all right. Like I said, I think we both suffer from PTSD to an extent.
No kidding.
I think, you know what? That's why we do Catalyst. And Tala's in the chat. For those of you not in the know, Tala, I give her praise, and she's like, "Stop doing this to me, Jim. After 7 years, 6 years, or whatever." If there wouldn't be a Catalyst, and there wouldn't probably be me doing live streaming anymore if it wasn't for Tala and you, Greg, and Joanne, and a lot of other people from the Periscope days when that old live streaming app was around back then. And yes, this event, by the way, is sponsored by Archon Mounts.
Sorry,
yeah, and there's my Archon mount right there
that was an accident
for product placement. Continuously,
I'm a one-man band, so I do apologize.
No, it's good. It's good. Like I do a thing called squirreling, but anyway, I digress. So basically, back to what you were asking about. What were you asking about again?
how are you guys doing? Like,
how are we doing?
And you don't have to get like into detail but
No.
it's an honest question. Like, you guys doing okay? You and Maureen?
Yeah, I mean, God, I would be lost without her. 26 and a half years married together. We met on a blind date back in '94, and she's
Who
been
does
on
that? Blind date?
all along. Yeah, we've been on a blind date.
Okay, this is 2023. I don't think people know what a blind date is, so you got to explain a blind date in 2023.
Now it's like, okay, you find some kind of an app, or
not
like
just that. Like, there's no blind date
or something.
Now there is a decepto date today, meaning you can swipe. If I don't like, oh, she's ugly, swipe. But the truth is, the person you meet up might make you blind because might not even be the real person.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
So, anyways, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But for us, I think both Maureen and I suffer PTSD. I mean, to an extent, obviously, considering the fact that we went through and everything with her, and you know what, we wouldn't have changed a single thing. We were going to have, had Ashley not had leukemia, we were going to probably have another child going forward. But our focus was Ashley front and foremost, and first and foremost. And we wouldn't change a single thing for her. Like any parent would do, they will do anything to help their child and get them where they need to be. But in the process, Maureen and I have burnt ourselves out, obviously, between, from a medical perspective, getting Ashley back up to full health, the legal aspects of things, having to meet with people to create a law for for our child and for other kids in the state of Illinois to allow them onto school grounds. There's still a lot more work to be done as far as trying to take it.
Can you explain that?
Level? Oh, go ahead.
Explain that. The law that you just mentioned. Can you talk about
that?
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, and you're seeing in the chats, especially over on Twitch, you're seeing a chat with my wife's handle of Ashley's Love. So as you probably know in this broadcast, my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. She went into remission in 2011 and has been cancer-free now for 12 plus years. However, the epilepsy part of it lingered for 8 to 9 years, pretty much. And then when we finally did away with the Western meds, we homed down with the help of Dr. Tony Bark. We homed down on the Western meds, and then we brought up the use of medicinal cannabis patches and tinctures. Basically, it's not like she's rolling a joint or she's not doing a bong hit or anything like that. It's a non-obstructive, looks like a Band-Aid that we put on her foot in the morning and a half of a patch in the evening. And then before she goes to bed, it's like a little plastic syringe with some sticky, gooey stuff with a little bit more of a concentration of THC in it that we put on a little dark chocolate chip at night, and that lets her sleep nice at night and everything. Problem is that, as you probably know, in our fine United States of America, medicinal or recreational cannabis is not allowed on school grounds and a lot of other properties around the country. So good news is that we decided to try bringing in Ashley on patches and tinctures during holiday break in December of 2017. And then with the exception of one minor seizure, all of a sudden there were no seizures after that. So
Wow.
3 weeks later, with the patches, the tincture, she was starting to talk, and she was being able to, mention to us. It was like an RSO. Thank you, Maureen. It's an RSO. That's the little tincture. It's known as an RSO. It's like a little stick with a little gooey stuff in it. You put it under a little dark chocolate chip, like one little drop, and give it to her orally at night.
So
And
what does the THC do?
wow, that's the high part. And again, this is the part where it gets interesting, because I'm not really a doctor of any kind. I'm not a doctor of medicinal cannabis, but that's the high part. But I think it is the fact that it is a natural product. It's a natural plant that is
It's a
saving a dog's life.
like a mood enhancer, basically.
Ooh, what was that?
Like a mood enhancer.
Not a mood enhancer, but I think it has something to do with reducing the stimuli in her brain that caused the seizures. It basically calmed her down, because for many years, Greg, we brought her over to like Lurie's Children's Hospital, which is one of the best children's hospitals in the country. And we put, like, as Ashley called them, stickies on her head for the EEG tests, and it would monitor her seizure activity to see what happens, what would cause it. And as my wife alludes to here, to the bottom here, it repairs the receptors to take in the CBD to stop the anticonvulsive seizures. So that's what the THC does a little bit at night.
You ever heard of the Sackler family?
Mm-mm.
That's a name I want everybody to remember. So the Sackler family they're the reason why, one of the major reasons why families like you guys struggle to get laws passed to get common sense medication that makes sense. So the Sackler family they're the ones responsible for the I can't say opioid crisis.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
they're the ones that brought it in, got laws passed to where it was legal. So, and I'm not a doctor, but the
Right.
opioids that they give you are
Yeah.
basically heroin.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So when my mom had cancer, that's a lot of those drugs they recommended were heroin, but the doctors couldn't prescribe it. And there are doctors that confessed, and I don't have a computer person to pull up for us, but there are doctors that confess that they knew what it was, and they would give it in small doses.
Yeah.
That's why they tell you, right? Hey, take this for a week. Let me know how you feel. If you need more, I'll up the dose. The Sackler family is one of the major reasons why we cannot get the type of care that you fought for, is because they have a hold on the pharmaceutical industry and knowingly did so.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that with you guys,
Yeah. And that's one of the battles that we were about to embark on prior to the pandemic in 2020.
Did you guys get any pushback?
Well, from a federal level, we never got to it. However, here in Illinois, back in 2017, 2018, we were so excited because Ashley had no seizures. Prior to that, Greg, every day, or if not every week, not every day, we'd get a call from the nurse's office at Ashley's grade school, or from the principal's office saying, Ashley had another seizure. Can you pick her up? Or, we're taking her to the emergency room. We call the paramedics. This would be disruptive in the curriculum for the other kids in the classroom, for the teachers, for the aides, and obviously for the, for the principal and the staff at the school, and for the school district. So for the first time in our recollection ever, we were like, she's been seizure free now for weeks, and we cannot wait to tell the teachers and the aides that they can actually focus on education and not worrying about when Ashley's going to have a non-responsive moment, or when she's going to have a full body collapse, or she's going to roll her eyes in the back of her head. None of that happened. And this combined with the puberty onset that my wife mentioned in the comments field. So you're talking about hormones going ape crazy at the ages of
Right.
11, 12, 13 years of age. That combined with epileptic seizures. It's just the perfect storm of anything that could go wrong went wrong during those years. And then the epilepsy worsens through puberty. And we had to stop it. And finally, we found the solution. It was a natural plant that saved our daughter's life. It was a patch in the TSO. And we were excited. We went to call the school up the night before. We emailed them and said, Ashley's coming back. She hasn't had a seizure in 3 weeks, but we just want to let you know that she will have a non-obstructive patch on her foot to regulate her seizures. And at the time, there's like a little thing that we'd rub on her wrists as well, just as a precaution. And of course, the tincture at night.
So what would you rub? Is it like a
It's like a lotion, kind of like a targeted topical, pretty much,
okay?
and everything. The cancer was gone, but the seizures continued for 7-8 years until we went over to full controlled medicinal cannabis and off of the Western meds. However, January of 2018, we went to bring our daughter back to school. The school district said she is not allowed on school grounds because it's cannabis. And we says it's medicinal, it's not obstructive. We have a sock and a shoe over her foot, and we just have to go in a little bit. And they wouldn't allow us in to the school. Our daughter was being denied an education. So
So that's old law, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it is that a lot of the people in the Beltway in Washington on both sides of the aisle still think of cannabis as being reefer madness. So let's see, do the math here. So opioids are okay, which is basically heroin. That's give them the opioids. But God forbid, if it's a non-obstructive patch this big for one child in Illinois, she's being denied an education. So we wanted our daughter had a right to an education, and
well, there's so many sides to that discussion from a lawmaker perspective. Part of me doesn't believe that they really believe that people are bringing in Hawaii. We say pakalolo, but I think a lot of it for Hawaii, for example, Hawaii waited until several states had their legalization set up so they could analyze the model, because at the end of the day, it's all about profits and taxation.
It's a cash grab. What's in it for them? It's not for the interests and well-being of a daughter or children.
Yeah.
Not just epilepsy, but there's children with Crohn's disease and ADHD and other childhood illnesses that have used medical cannabis to overcome those horrific illnesses and everything like that. And then it got to the point where we had no other choice but to sue, to look for legal action. We called our attorney friend, and they didn't really have any direct answers at first. And then someone came back and recommended somebody, and they said, "Oh, we'll take the case on for X number of tens of thousands of dollars," which we didn't have because we were still getting out from under from all the medical bills. And then 2 days later, we got a call back, and the guy said, "I want to take this case
pro bono.
I'll take care of it."
Wow,
that's awesome. Like, really? So this, I think it was the Tuesday, the day after Ashley was supposed to come back to school after holiday break. Our attorney, and us, we as a family, we filed a lawsuit against the school district and the state of Illinois because our daughter was being denied an education and everything like that. And the only thing that we had to pay for were court fees, and that was it. So we agreed to it, and $1,000 or whatever, which I could if I had $1,000 now, just to pay for groceries. It was one of those things where our daughter was being denied an education, and the the weird part was, this is back in 2018. Thank you, Divin. Good seeing you. This is back 5 years ago. There's a good side of the story coming up here. And it got to the point where we told the school district was happy. The principal was happy. The head of our school district was elated because they knew of us.
Right.
And everything. The teachers and her aides were happy. Her friends were happy. But the thing is that if the school allowed our daughter back into school and the state got wind of it, the feds in Washington would get wind of it because that's a federal offense, and the feds would come down on the state of Illinois and punish them and subsequently our local school district. And that is no bueno. So we had to pretty much take this to federal courts. We went to the Dirksen Federal Court building that week, that following Friday. We were in there in the lobby waiting to go into the the judge's chambers. It was basically the superintendent of our school district and his attorney. We had the attorney general's assistant for the state of Illinois and my wife and myself all in the lobby waiting to go in the judge's panel, and everybody over a plant. We were all together, and the school district, the attorney general's office for the state of Illinois, everybody was laughing. Everyone was so happy that Ashley was seizure-free for the first time in over 5 years. They were on our side 100%. It was the federal level was what we were going to have to fight against ultimately. So when we got into the juror's office, in the judge's chambers to discuss this, everyone was pro Ashley. Everyone loved the fact that a little patch this big and a little RSO would help her get back up to speed again. And the judge says, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a TRO, a temporary restraining order for this. Your daughter can go back to school.
So explain the TRO. How does that work? I know what it is, but how did it work to get her into school?
Basically, the judge can only preside over subjects in Illinois. They cannot do it on a federal level. He can only do it on a temporary basis. And the judge said to us, he goes, well, sir and family, you have an assignment. You have some homework to do. And we're like, homework? What are you talking about? And he goes, well, you have to go out there and create a law. A law. We don't know any state senators. We don't know any state representatives. I got my attorney here, but he's just going to take everything but the court fees under his belt. What do we have to do here? So we literally had to create a law that would allow a permanent law here in Illinois, not on a federal, but in the state of Illinois, a law that would allow children whose parents or caregivers have a medicinal cannabis license to allow their children to go back into Illinois schools and public schools. So that's where the fun began. So between January 2018 until May, we made 3 or 4 trips down to the state capitol in Springfield, speaking in front of House and Senate subcommittees, where we met many, many amazing state representatives and senators on both sides of the aisle. And I'm mentioning both sides of the aisle here. And this is the adage. I always compare this. We always think that politicians are fighting with each other. That's what mainstream media wants you to think. They want you to think that one news network is this side, another news network is that side, and they're in favor of that character and this character. You know what I mean? They want to separate us as a public, and they want to just make us think that they're fighting for what we want as Americans, when in all essence, behind the scenes, when you go to the bars after hours or after restaurants, those same people who you see sparring with each other on television, they're all having cocktails and eating together in restaurants. it's no different than watching a football game, like an American football game. If you see like for example, if you see like the 49ers and the Rams football game beating each other up, or a Giants Dodger game where the players are beating each other up on the field and yelling at each other, you don't think they're over there at the hotel having a couple of sodas, laughing? Look at all the suckers on television watching us. They fell for it. It's just, it's amazingly, it's hysterical. And the same thing with the news networks. You know, big business, big government, and, you know, big media. The three handshakes that all work together here. And all of this came to fruition when we went down to Springfield to plead our case. Were there some people that were, you know, watching Reefer Madness too many times, thinking that our little, you know, middle school girl was like having to smoke a joint in order to stop her seizures? No, it's a patch. At the subcommittee, we had a couple of individuals who were very skeptical. They said they would approve our request with reservation, even though they had to be corrected and be told by somebody who was a medical, you know, who did experiments or went to college to study how a medical or like a cannabis plant can be dissected and can be used in a medical sense to help benefit others that like an opioid wouldn't help. There's so many sides to this. And believe it or not, when we went down there to the House and the Senate in Illinois, both sides of the aisle passed legislation in March and subsequently in May in 2018. And I think there are maybe two that abstained or said no to the law, but everyone else passed it and agreed on it.
That's how we have Ashley's Law.
And then back in May 18th of 2018, Ashley's Law came to fruition. We drove down to Springfield that day. We sat up in the House chamber over there in Springfield, Illinois, right behind where the the speaker presides over everything with the gavel and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, third reading, and a lot of great senators. I think of Senator Christina Castro. I think of State Representative Bob Morgan, Laura Fine. The list goes on and on. I think of endless names of others that that we wouldn't be here without them. Lou Lang, who helped us coin the term Ashley's Law back in the day. And there is a link, and I will put it back up on my feed at JS Scope. I will retweet it for those of you who want to see the actual law being passed with us upstairs virtually and crying and happiness. And then we went over to a good brewery for some burgers and some good local brewed product.
I'm gonna look it up. So on YouTube, what do I type?
Yeah, actually,
Ashley's Law.
Yeah, you know what? If you Google Ashley's Law, anybody in the room here can Google Ashley's Law, Illinois.
Thanks to Ashley's Law, sick Illinois students now can take medical something. Is that the one? Oh, there's you. I see you on it. What? There's a lot of videos. I'm gonna put it out. So there's a 3-minute one and there's a 55-second one. Which one is it?
I believe Senator Christina Castro may also have it up on her feed. There's also if people Google Ashley's Law, Illinois, there's actually a formal document that can be inspected by anybody that pretty much goes into the details as far as what it's like House Bill, I forgot the number, but basically we have a hard copy of the actual law in our china cabinet upstairs, and have one on my computer as well, or try Ashley's Law debate. But Senator Christina Castro was in there.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember who else was in there. I don't think Laura Fine spoke or Bob Morgan spoke that day, but you'll hear testimonies on both sides of the aisle, which in this day and age, you don't see much anymore on mainstream media. Your MSNBCs and your CNNs lean left, your Foxes lean right, and Newsmax lean right. And they offer opinion editorial columns rather than just reporting the news or telling us what's going on. And HB 4870. Thank you, Maureen. She had to go to the china cabinet upstairs. I'm down in the office here. Yeah. So the the video is out there, and there's also I think the interview on the Today Show is still up there. I'm not sure if there's anything on CNN anymore.
I have one that I'm gonna upload. It's a short video, but I like it. It's kind of cool. I
Yeah.
see Maureen talking. Yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
there's
I'm
also
gonna post.
CBS 2, Aaron Kennedy, CBS 2, our CBS affiliate in Chicago, did a nice interview
So
with us.
how long was that process? I know it was stressful, but how long was that
Oh,
process?
between when we sued the state and in our school district and the time it became law, well, basically January 8, 2018 to May of 2018. And then the law was like, because it was an election year here in Illinois, then Governor Bruce Rauner signed the
Of
legislation.
course, it's election year, right?
Yeah, of course. Here in Illinois, you know how great our governors are. Rod Blagojevich, yeah, and we've got J.B. Pritzker now, and then we got who else we had before Rauner? We had Jim Ryan, we had George Ryan, Jim Thompson, Rod Blagojevich. We had a lot of little shady characters here in Illinois, but. Here we go. Yeah, there's a debate. Yeah, 15-minute Ashley's Law debate on YouTube. So I think that's what you can try that. Try Ashley's Law floor debate on YouTube. Senator Christina Castro out of Elgin, Illinois, which is just west of us, did an outstanding job presenting the legislation. And there were some skeptics. There were some naysayers on there that were really not on board with it. But and some people, you're just not going to, you can't sit there and force something that's not going to be comfortable on them. But of the 52 people that were voting that day, 50 said yes. And the only 2 that abstained are no longer, I don't think they're no longer serving in Illinois anymore. But,
you know what I see, Jim, now that I'm here, in Oregon, so in Hawaii, like,
yeah.
Law, no law, whatever. People smoke weed like it's like just life,
right?
Like your cable installer guy, if you follow his truck, he's smoking weed. Like, you know what I mean? So, what I do see here though is it's such a huge cash cow, and I didn't realize that most, like a lot of them, only operate in cash because. I think it's changing now, but a lot of banks won't touch your marijuana money because it's still a federal crime.
Correct. Yeah.
So now they have this money transfer system where they put it in an armored truck. They take the money somewhere, and then they, I'm using launder, but they don't launder the money. But basically, they give you like a financial token to whatever.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. And again, like I said, the last thing. And the margins are pretty tight for a lot of those places. So the other thing is that the reason why they do cash is they don't want to be hit with the 3 to 4% surcharge either.
Right.
There's so many. And the weird part about all of this is that I've never gotten high in my life. I've never had any.
Me too. I have never been high.
I've never had any interest. My parents smoked cigarettes in the house my whole life when I lived at home, and it smelled smoky. There were ashtrays everywhere, and it was gross. My sisters and my brother smoked, and they got high all the time. I rebelled. I never got high. I liked beer. I liked sports. They didn't like sports, and I went to college, and they didn't go to college. So I rebelled, and here I am 58 years later, alive and kicking,
we all have an endocannabinoid system. Our bodies crave balance, and CBD aids with that. Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, see, I see your wife and Tala said, I never did either. Oh, here's the kicker. When I tell people I never got high, I never smoked weed, they're like, you're a liar because you live in Hawaii. You guys have the best pakalolo. I said, I've never. my dad, okay.
Yeah.
My parents weren't strict in the sense of like I would get beatings or whatever, but my dad taught us well. Like he taught us without teaching us. Like I never felt that I needed to get high, even though it was all around. Our neighbors had plants. We smell it, like, you know what I mean? We smell it all the time. And I never got high. I never smoked. I never even touched marijuana until I was like older. And it was to throw it away because it was like, at my last job, like it was there. I said I just dumped it, threw it in the trash. Like
It's there for the taking, and you're like, nah, I'll pass.
yeah. So
I mean, it's like in the 90s when I worked at right out of college. I mean, my friends were doing coke right in front of me, and they're like, "Here," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll pass." It's ridiculous. Oh, here's the
marijuana
video.
program and opening it up to more patients. A signature by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker made the program permanent. The original pilot program was set to expire next year. 80,000 people are already enrolled. The new law adds another 11 conditions to include patients with migraines, chronic pain, and osteoarthritis. It's informally known as Ashley's Law.
There you
Ashley
go.
Surin got cancer at age 2. Chemo gave her epilepsy and seizures. Her mom says cannabis was her key to treatment.
And we couldn't beat those seizures that she kept having, and we tried many neuromedicines, and they said she needed to consume cannabis and go on a low-carb diet, and by gosh, they were right.
Pritzker also signed another bill that allows school nurses to administer cannabis to students who are registered medical.
bro, look how happy you guys look. Happy.
Yeah. That was when it became a permanent law. The original legislation, or the original bill, was signed by then Governor Rauner on August 1st of 2018. But it didn't become really a permanent law per se. It just happened to pass the state Senate and the House as well. And I remember in 18, we were at the State of Illinois building in Chicago. We were not down in Springfield, the state capital, because I'm horrible at politics, but it seems like the Republican Party was a little bit more under the radar as far as the whole medicinal cannabis movement. It seemed more of like a Democratic thing, at least here in the state of Illinois. So Governor Rauner, rather than having a big trumpet and bells and circuses thing down in Springfield, had it in his office without any media presence to speak of. Once we had it signed, we had our little copy of our law. We walked down to the elevator and we went to have lunch by ourselves. It wasn't like we were surrounded by media or anything like when we had the temporary restraining order in January of 2018 over at the Dirksen Federal Court building, when Ashley was the first child in Illinois to be allowed with a temporary restraining order into a school here in Illinois with medicinal cannabis.
And now she's going to graduate with honors.
She's doing quite well in school. Yes, she still has special needs and everything like that. And she is literally a work in progress. But I mean, she did really good on her Constitution test. She just did a big reading test not too long ago. She did another history test before that. And she gets awarded gainfully for all of her accomplishments. We're just so proud of her. And, as far as the great progress that we have made here in Illinois, we still have a lot more progress to go as far as trying to, we're paying out of pocket for these patches. It's not like these grow on trees. Insurance isn't going to cover this. So in other words, like for my company I work for, it's not like, let's see, here's the healthcare provider. Oh, look at this, medicinal cannabis. Oh, yeah, sure, 80% covered. No, it's not covered at all.
Not even like 5-10%, nothing?
No, we're paying out of pocket 100%. Reason being is that I think healthcare, and this is my opinion, again, opinions of Jim don't reflect those of our state legislator or the national government, but I think it's a cash grab again. It's just that the healthcare providers and the farms, big farm, ding, all have this handshake and the insurance companies all have a handshake with our government because everything is being regulated that way already. They're comfortable. There's it's a win-win for them. Why would they want to have another party come in here and get a slice of the pie? That's what we've been fighting for. We need insurance laws, not just here in Illinois, but other states. And ultimately, we need to take this to a federal level where we can take this to the Beltway and explain to them that while Western meds benefit many people in this country, thank goodness for great doctors and nurses, oncologists, neurologists, and you know and everyone in the industry for doing this. But my goodness, there are a lot of us out there, my family included, that we're paying out of pocket for this stuff, and we would hope that some insurance companies would step up and help families like ours with some of those, paying for our medicinal cannabis bills.
You don't have to tell me like exact dollar amounts, but ballpark, if a family goes through what you go through, what is their out of pocket on average? If you were to give an average.
Well, it depends on the doses. Every family is going to be different. In this case, Greg, tens of thousands, maybe more, depending on the family. I think, and like I said, and things are starting to get a little bit better. Here in Illinois, recreational and medicinal cannabis is legal now. Again, you have to have a card and everything to get the medicinal stuff for our daughter and everything like that.
Okay.
But it seems like, at least here in Illinois, this is again just my opinion, it seems like it's a cash grab. I think that the state realizes that, hey, wait a second, this is another source of revenue we can tap into for the hipsters who are starting the recreational industry. So the supply demand thing comes into play also, which is another angle that is just crazy. There, my wife just put down RSO $50 each. So a pen, one little pen like that, is $50, and then Ashley wears the patches 24/7. And I don't even want to go where the patches are, but as far as the dollar amount, but the wrench in this thing, Greg, is the fact that once the state passed recreational, and like I said, I'm happy for people in the state of Illinois who want to use recreational cannabis whatever the way they want, which is cool. But the part is that the state regulated and licensed facilities are making a lot of money hand over fist on this stuff. The margins are 30, 35%, maybe more. And that's why you're finding a lot of people in Illinois are bypassing that, and they continue to buy the stuff in the gray market off the street rather than going into a dispensary, because they get away from the taxes and they feel that the quality of the product is better than something that's been sitting on the shelf for a while. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So the supply of stuff is being sent to recreational facilities because it's for the almighty dollar, while medicinal cannabis families have to wait a long time to get product. And it's not that we are ever short of it, but there's times where we've had some trying times where we're literally kind of scared, or we're kind of concerned that, are we going to have enough patches for our daughter? So it's not only insurance providers, it is also, the healthcare, people. It's the growers in the state of Illinois or wherever they're getting it from. It's the dispensaries. It's just it's a multi-headed monster that we're up against right now.
I think if I hate to go dark on it, but if corruption wasn't involved, it would be probably a lot easier, because I think we're talking about partisan politics already, about any law that gets passed. So when it comes to cash cow, now it comes down to who gets paid. And that's just the truth. Because if we were to do a net worth assessment of every politician in the country, I can almost guarantee their net worth is a lot higher than what their salary is. And that's just the truth. I mean, we all know that we weren't born yesterday. We know that now a lot of the politicians obviously have law degrees. Some of them were, accomplished prior to being a public servant. So I'm not taking away from that. But just even in Hawaii, we see that Hawaii is one of the most corrupt states without people knowing that it's corrupt. And it's because of what we talked about earlier, how you fight in public. As soon as the cameras are off, all right, let's go drink, let's go have dinner or whatever. Let's make a backroom deal.
Exactly.
And it comes down to, okay, who gets paid, who gets what. And I think that's a lot of the that's why a country shuts down, is because they can't agree on how much, who's going to get paid what. It's I know ethics is in there. I don't want to take away from that. But it really is about, well, what am I going to get? What I'm, what I've got Pfizer in my back pocket. They want something,
Yeah.
or I've got, whoever, Philip Morris. They want to get a
Right.
compensation law passed since they're going to lose whatever, So I get that,
Yeah. It's like, what's in it for me? It's, I mean, I don't want to say this again, but it's just like one of those things where you're, there are a lot of doctors and nurses that care about their patients, but at the same time, you can't help but think that, especially with some of those meds that were creating some horrific side effects, don't they see this? Don't they see the fact that my daughter's become obese? Don't they see the fact that she's aggressive and she hit me and she broke my hand? Don't they see the fact that she's not being able to say one or two words? Don't they see that the seizures are more pronounced? It's almost like, and my wife and I were talking about this. We're like sitting there going, this is like I said, 7 or 6 years ago. We're sitting there going, it's almost like it's like the cool new thing to, it's a new med to try. And then if they throw that at us, they get like some kind of kickback or something. That's just a conspiracy. But like I said, I was thinking that in the back of my head at the time. And then when my daughter had her brain surgery, they were ready to put her on a 4th med after she was on 3 to begin with. And that was when we drew the line in the sand and said, no more Western meds. We're done with this. We're not going to take on a 4th med with more horrific side effects than the other 3. And Lord knows what else on top of it.
So through all of these trials and tribulations, you and your wife are going through PTSD
Still.
So what do you and Maureen, do you guys have any time to yourself? Do you guys ever go out on a date? What do you guys do?
We do. Ashley's at that age now where she goes on dances, and we will have dinner, or she'll be at school. I was working at home for a long time. I just went back to the office Monday, but there'll be times where we just chill and we vent and we console each other, or we have the lively art of exchanging of ideas. But my wife's my strength. I think a lot of people kind of understand what I've gone through, but she's the one that's the straw that stirs the drink. She's the one that's done a lot of the work and the legwork here. And I'd be lost without her. So I think right now, she's been my strength. I know that she did she got let go from her job back in June. So we're down to a single income right now.
What type of work does she do, or what is her giftings or experience?
Yeah. Well, prior to what she was let go from before, she was as a senior inventory analyst and a senior inventory planner for a school book publisher, a K-12 school book publisher in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. And she worked there for some 20 some years. But with Ashley's health, situation, she wanted to work from home a little bit more. Her company that she worked for got bought out by a bigger entity, and they just didn't seem to have the bandwidth to accommodate her needs in what she wanted to do working from home. So she took severance and she left that company, and she went to work for a hemp-based company for a couple of years from home here, and which was awesome for her. She loved working from home. She loved her job. She was passionate about it. She would work 10, 12 hours a day in front of her laptop because she wanted to help others the way that people helped us, the pay it forward thing. The company decided to take another direction, and they let go of her and some of her coworkers. And she's been looking for work ever since. So she's been out since June, and she's getting unemployment, but it's not a whole lot, but it's working. She loved to work in the hemp or cannabis industry, preferably from home, where she can jump on a Teams call or a Zoom call and be an active person in the community who can help others well.
So she's good with computers and stuff like that, obviously.
Yeah, she holds her own pretty well as far as she'll do all of her office stuff as far as PowerPoint, Word, Excel, all that stuff. If she needs to jump on Zoom or Teams, I kind of know somebody who's pretty well versed in that department. But as you see in those videos, she is she's very soft-spoken, but at the same time, she is firm. She's very confident. She's determined, very focused, and she loves what we've done with Ashley, and we want to help other families if we can.
So my wife, she stay-at-home mom. And she's been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, I think now. And so I've
Okay.
been, we do a lot of things. We just recently partnered up with an Airbnb in Atlanta, Georgia, which was a total godsend. We're excited for that.
Nice.
But to generate income, there's so many ways now you can generate income. Like, so you're a Twitch affiliate.
Correct.
What? So that means you have monetization benefits. Is that what
I
that means?
do. Yes.
And so like subs and those kind of that kind of a deal.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, I did 3 broadcasts on Twitch, and I became an affiliate.
What? Wait, say that again. You did 3?
3 broadcasts, yeah. Basically,
What
for
the
those
heck?
of you in the know, just to give a long story short, Periscope was like the first live streaming app. It was ultimately bought out by Twitter maybe a year after I went live on there the first time. Guys like Mr. Greg Lopez over here, Mr. Gilo over here, Sandy Choi, Go Rice Girl Joanne, Web Evie, and Kama, aka Slice of Spam, were some
Yeah.
of the first people who I used to watch and inspired me to go live for the first time. Greg, this guy, and a bunch of others. Sandy Choi was another one, and I went live for 5-6 years on Periscope. When they went under in 2021, I went over to a place called Haps, which was a very short-lived live streaming platform.
They owe me $265.
They owe you $265, really?
I wasn't able to cash out on it.
Ugh.
Which, whatever.
I ditched them before they ditched me, actually.
Well,
I
you
knew
know what?
I knew the
Let's
direction.
park it on live streaming for a second, and but let's talk about the money on Twitch at the end of this, because
Okay.
you hit something really powerful. So
Yeah.
I've been getting a little bit of shade on X,
Okay.
Twitter,
Yeah.
because without even realizing, I may have come on a little bit strong and hard on people on Spaces. And my thing is, my wife, when I was live streaming on Periscope,
Yeah.
I would broadcast every single day. And my wife is like, what the heck are you doing this every single day? You better make some money or do something. But so you know what we did? We bought shares of Twitter just so I can justify going live every day. So we bought some shares of Twitter just so I could
Nice. That's smart.
well, so when Twitter, Periscope, whatever, when they offered monetization through Super Hearts, I was at one point I was averaging like 120, 140 a month just from Super Hearts.
Yeah, me too.
And it was nice. Like
Yeah.
I was thinking this works, And
Yeah.
so I tell people in regards to live streaming, when Linda Yaccarino, who is the CEO of Twitter, and Elon Musk publicly stated that X will become the everything app. When Elon Musk, when he buys the company and he live streams about 6 to 7 times, his very first live stream was on a cell phone. And if you remember that video, he was embarrassed.
8-bit.
He was embarrassed of how poor the video quality was, and he didn't understand why was it like that.
8-bit Elon.
From that day forward, actually in the live video, and I posted it, he said, okay, well, let's fix this. Can we fix it? And that's when they showed him, well, this is how the code is still on 2015. And so if Elon Musk and Linda Yaccarino are saying this is going to be the everything app and he's live streaming, I made a post the other day. I said, if they're promising this, let's not put all of our eggs in the audio basket, although it's great.
Yeah.
And also today, Ninja, who is the world famous ninja from Twitch, at one point was making $5 million a month live streaming, and his platform was Twitch.
Yep.
And if he just started live streaming on X, I think that's a good reason for us to start saying, hey, maybe we should start doing more of these, doing more grab my phone and go show a waterfall or go show a
Yeah.
burger that I'm eating because people want to see that.
Yeah. They
Um,
want to see the IRL footage. I miss
Yeah.
IRL like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Greg, you did those frequently, and those of you in our audience who've known Greg for many years, you know, like he was one of the very first to do it. I mean, people around the world did this stuff over during the Periscope days. Periscope being an old live streaming app that was purchased by Twitter back in 2016, after Periscope was created in 2015. People like Greg would go out and do their saltwater broadcasts. You'd have Belcho in Bulgaria showing us some amazing architecture. Dave in Osaka would
The
take
piano player who played in the mountains.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
yeah. You had what was that was oh, there's a woman. What was her name? There's
Irina, I think her name was.
yeah, Irina Ideas was up in Macedonia. And you also had over in, I want to say in, who else was it? It was Euro Maestro over in Paris a couple of days after the horrific bombings near Notre Dame. Euro Maestro was over there. You know, there was breaking news. It was going down. It wasn't like an MSNBC or a Fox or a CNN where it was just an opinion editorial thing and their opinions. If someone took their phone, Greg, or anybody would go live, it was going down. It was happening.
You know what's funny is, remember Rob Braxman?
Rob Braxman, yes.
Bro, he is exploding on YouTube.
Okay, nice.
He's going to hit 1 million followers soon.
He's like a tech guru, and he plays the piano too.
But he swore by being live on Periscope / Twitter. That was his thing. And to get into the underbelly of everything. So going to what you said, that so when Periscope was created, it was Kayvon Bakor and two other guys who took ownership, and then he had his developers, programmers, guys who wrote code.
Yep.
And when they bought Periscope, I think it was 120 million. Kayvon he got a nice fat check, but the majority of their money was through stock options, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I'm not an expert. I'm just going to what was on public information. So
he has some decent coin.
That's why he was okay getting fired. You know, I'm not saying he was okay. I shouldn't speak for him, but
Jack basically told Kayvon, you know, we're going to create Twitter Spaces because it takes up less bandwidth, and once you get Twitter Spaces up, here you go. Take Periscope. Bye.
Well, I don't think Kayvon is struggling financially.
No, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's totally doing quite well. I mean,
and even Trust and Safety, Vijaya Gadi, the one who was intertwined with all that conspiracy with the Twitter files, she's doing fine. I think her buyout contract was like 20 million or something.
Yeah.
Like that. So they're fine.
It's up there. Exactly.
But what is the word? The pie in the sky, the lights, and the writings on the wall. So if Twitter was the first to offer live streaming back in 2015, 2016, because Facebook and YouTube didn't have it yet.
No.
They didn't do it until after. When Elon buys Twitter, who's the first to offer the verification badge? Is Elon Musk. Literally a month or two later, or 2 months after that, Facebook offers it. And they charge $15 a month.
Yep.
Well, even before that, Twitter was the first to offer a robust audio format, even though the other guys tried with, I think, Clubhouse. Was it Clubhouse?
Yes, there was Clubhouse, which is still around.
And Anchor.
Anchor, yeah.
And Anchor was bought out by Spotify.
Yep.
And
then AMP.
That's right.
AMP just went under a couple of weeks ago, and that was by Amazon.
You know, from a business perspective, it makes sense because not everybody's comfortable doing this, but everybody can listen, and you get a broader reach and spectrum. But to me, the quality of content diminished. I'm not saying that these guys are putting bad content, but what I'm saying is, it's like we're all visual. Like, why do you think there's 10 or 15 subscription services for TV and movies? You got Netflix, HBO, Paramount,
right?
TMC or TL, whatever.
Right.
both TMC. So
Yeah.
I really feel like, looking back, that they lost more than what they gained,
Correct.
because
agree.
there's no revenue system on Spaces. I don't see any like.
I've never been on Spaces. I think I was on when it first came on twice. Barbara Niagara invited me on, and who else was on? Bobby Bicker.
Now I do Spaces now because I do it in moderation.
Mhm.
But if you're not careful, you're going to get sucked in for 3 hours. I don't have 3 hours.
Yeah,
Today
there's
I
a lot
did.
of the Perry Drama people, the old Periscope people had like their little Perry Drama clubs. They're all in there
Yeah.
with audio, hiding behind audio when they're not showing their face.
So here's a funny story, bro. I jumped in on one of those, not realizing. I mean, I got blasted. So I jumped into one, and I just happened to hear something that was it was funny. I was laughing like for real. So
Yeah.
I jump in and request to speak. So that was my mistake. So I recognized who was in the room,
Whoops.
but I thought it was funny. So I jump in and say, and I was, I start talking all local Hawaiian, like, oh, bro, I don't know what's going on in this room, but bro, that's funny stuff. And everybody was like, yeah. The next day, I'm getting like blacklisted and like just drama. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So I responded like, hey guys, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but that wasn't my intention. Like, I really thought it was funny. Like, and I'm like, Twitter's not real. This is just a bunch of people that it's all fake. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know you, you don't know me. Like, if
Right.
this really hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. And I literally said, if this hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but it was funny. I laughed. It was funny.
Yeah.
But
It's one of those things where it's like the Real Housewives of Twitter Spaces.
did you hear that it was Dave Chappelle and you know who Cat Williams is? He's a black comedian. He has sometimes he has a long straight hair. He's a small little guy, but he's funny. Well, anyway, so Dave Chappelle, I don't know who said who, but anyways, they talked about how fake Twitter is.
Mhm.
And Dave Chappelle calls Cat Williams and says, "Hey man, I just want to tell you, that wasn't me. I didn't talk trash about you. That was some fake account that someone impersonated me talking
Of course.
smack
Right.
about you.
Right.
And so I want to apologize, Cat. That wasn't me." And so Cat goes, "Well, that's fine, brother. I don't have a Twitter account either." So there were two fake celebrities talking trash to each other. They're
And
not even the real celebrities.
exactly.
So that's where I kind of agree with the check system somewhat.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's more of I am trying it out, and there are some benefits to it, but it's not foolproof because there's more bots now than there were 6 months ago. So I'm not sure what that's a whole nother conspiracy, but
Yeah, I think the other thing also is Linda over at X and Twitter was talking about incorporating their video streaming platform with a lot of the Olympic athletes when they go to the Olympics next summer in France. They're going to outfit a lot of the American athletes with phones that have that on there so they can kind of do a video chronicalization of their doings over there behind the scenes as far as getting ready for an event or practicing or warming up or going out on the town or whatever, just to kind of provide like an extra angle in addition to what Peacock and NBC Uni is already offering. Because again, that's what Elon and Linda wanted to do, is to expand or provide an additional revenue stream to maintain and upkeep of the existing video servers that are in place or about to be put into place. So
let me show you.
I'm sorry.
Let me show you this revenue stream. This is this is the idea that I pitched to them. This is back whatever 4 years ago.
Yeah.
If I go live, and let's say I'm a premium content subscriber or whatever,
yeah,
I may or may not see this, and this is what it's going to look like, right there. Oops, wrong one.
Oh, hey.
No, this one. Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Hey, even better. Archon.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you had rolling ads like that,
yeah.
Let's say you and Marine have you have a cannabis business. You put a rolling ad on the bottom,
Mhm.
and that generates revenue for whoever. I mean, it could be anybody.
Right.
But let's say I'm a subscriber to your channel and I don't want to see your ads. I can opt out of it so I don't have to look at ads. It's like Twitch, right? Twitch, you got to sit there for X
Yep.
amount of seconds, right?
Yep.
Dude, that's like a no-brainer to me. Like, dude, just do it. Try it out. If it doesn't work, if people don't like it, take it out. So
Right.
I don't know what the holdup is, but dude, that's money.
Yeah, it's a revenue stream, and I don't see a big significant price increase when in my monthly earnings for my monetization stuff when I run commercials. What it does do is it's one of two things: either A, people tolerate it, or B, during my trivia broadcasts, they'll miss out on a question or two because they're sitting through a question I'm reading and they're watching a commercial about, dude, play this gnarly Diablo 4 video game for your platform, bro. It
So
has
if
nothing
I
to do with my demographic either. I don't know what Diablo 4 is, but it's a video game.
yeah, so if I subscribe to you on Twitch,
Yeah.
can I opt out of those ads?
You get out of the commercials, right? You get me commercial free. And you get the questions for my trivia, and you get all of the bonus content on Catalyst on Wednesdays and my football show on Thursdays. And it's a no-brainer there. And the thing I was mentioning about Saturday nights when I do trivia nights, normally like at this hour, people are coming back watching these UFC fights, or they're watching a boxing match where they're spending 70, 80, 90 bucks for 2 hours maybe of a fight.
Right.
And then maybe the fight lasts like 10 minutes and they're out 80 bucks. And then they come into my quiz and they're like, what do you mean I have to spend $5 so I can watch your trivia? Are you kidding me? I'm like, no, it sucks to be you because you just spent $74.95 on a pay-per-view that lasted about 30 minutes. Or a wrestling event that was
So
late.
so what other tiers that like, is it $5? Do you have like $1, $2, $3?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like $5 or something. I mean, I don't ask for a whole lot. Like I said, I am, on the lower rung as far as the number of people who follow me. I mean, I have
Right.
like maybe 1,300 followers max. Periscope, I had 10. Haps, I had 10K. And we had Super Hearts, obviously, which were a decent revenue stream for monetization.
It was
at the
easy.
time.
It was easy, and it was
Yeah.
for the most part somewhat transparent. But
Yeah, and it got a little bit interesting at the end. Haps, I made a lot more, obviously. But again, it was very short-lived. It lasted maybe a year, and I got out before they started not letting people get their money.
did you have a meeting with the founders of Haps?
Yes.
Yeah, because
I
they did the
did.
same thing for me. Like, I got into a phone call, and I was like, "Wow, I feel so special." Like, and then sitting in a meeting, it was cool because it was exciting, but there was no money. I don't think they had funding, right, or something.
I don't even remember the whole gist of it, but all I know again, this is just conspiracy because I got along with everybody with the leadership team over there.
Well, Peter was great. Yeah,
Peter and Pablo, were
Pablo,
the two
yeah,
guys who
they
I
were
talked to
great.
directly. There was Mark Goldman, who was, one of the co-founders, and I forgot the other gentleman's name. I didn't
But
talk.
Mark was the money guy, right?
Mark was, I don't remember off the top.
Because I never met him, but I did.
I interviewed him on when I did my JS Live late night talking variety show on Haps. I loved interviewing him, and I had Peter on. Never had Pablo or the other guy, David something. David, I forgot his last name. I never had him on, but he was always a frequent visitor to my broadcasts, and we had tons of fun. I think the part that this is my theory, when they had the producer software, we could do the lower thirds and the crawls and have the guest features and all of that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that was a leased server or leased software. And I think it was one of those things where if they did good enough, it was like a lease with the option to buy. And I think they didn't hit their number. So they were trying to create gimmicks or promotions to boost up viewership and to get more people to come in and create accounts. And I think by September of 2021, that fell short.
I bet you, like, and I don't know, but I'm just from personal experience, I'm sure the investors weren't confident because, like, for Joey, when we had Egg Drop, just server space
Uh-huh.
on a small operation was on average $500 a month minimum, just for Egg Drop. That's not even an app. That's not even a program.
Right.
But and I think Joey was using Amazon. So Amazon you can rent server space on Amazon. Now, when you have a big operation like this,
Right.
obviously it's a lot bigger. And I actually had a meeting with a very wealthy person to try to get money because we were trying to fundraise. Well, I tried to fundraise. Joey was like, Joey didn't want to talk to nobody. So, of course, I'm like, I gotta go. I was basically a professional beggar.
You were his PR person.
And I've never shared it. This is the first time I shared this publicly, but there
Joey
were a
was
few.
cool. I like Joey.
Yeah, dude, he's a genius. And but yeah, I was a professional beggar. I had to ask me, hey, this is what we've got. Would you be willing to? And it was hard to get people to see it because at the time, live stream space was not like people like what is Periscope? What is that? Everybody knows Facebook, and it was weird. And so with Habs, I totally get it. They probably, like, if they had the money, it would have been done. It would have been a done deal. I believe that.
What was weird was they make mention of something like, we got X number of dollars and we're going to generate, or we're gonna expand and make it even bigger and better. And this is what you're seeing right now is just betaware. It's just it's a test drive, and then we're gonna launch this new and improved thing. And the new and improved thing never came to fruition. As a matter of fact, I do recall a time when a couple of the leadership team members called me personally on my phone and said they're going to be starting to issue out some demo software of the non-betaware version of it. And it was, I was not one of the people that was asked, which was kind of surprising because I've been very transparent with them. And, we had we had a good cume and good demographic going on our programs on my lives. And then I got a call from one of them one day, and I'm sitting there having lunch in my car talking to them. And they're like, well, there's going to be some changes coming up. And there's probably a reason why we're not asking you to do the demo of the new software. And I go, well, what's going on? And he goes, well, to be honest with you, I don't think a lot of people are going to like it.
You know what the tech industry is plagued with? They're plagued with teams. So if you got a company of, like, let's use Twitter as an example, because that's a great example. They had 8,000 employees at the peak. They had, I think, 8,000 employees, maybe 10,000, but for sure 8,000. They had so many teams upon teams upon teams that nobody wanted to do something because they had a conflict, or the project leader wasn't in agreement, or wasn't included in the email, whatever. Because there's so many great ideas that made sense, like rolling ads or super hearts that were customized for a business.
Exactly.
But because the project leader or project manager didn't sign off on it, it never got put through. And I can imagine even with Habs on a smaller scale, because it was weird, because remember they had different, it was like how should I put it? It was like they made a beef stew out of everybody else's app. Just to everybody's, like, here's some potatoes from Twitter, here's some onions from Facebook. Let's put it all in a pot and throw it out there, and let's ask the creators, what do they think?
Stir it and see what we got. Yeah. And I think a part of that had to do with that call that all of us were on. When we were on that Zoom call, there were about 30 prevalent. There was like Luis Poppy, there was Chantal, there was yourself, there was Joanne from Go Rice Girl, there was
Olivia,
David
right?
Saka.
Olivia Tai was there, right?
Yeah, Olivia Tai was on there.
Because that's her friend, actually, or that's her teacher. That was her professor, Peter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See,
Peter was her professor.
Wow.
I think it was communications professor.
Okay.
So she was kind of like the poster child of Habs at one point, or projected to be. Like, I don't want to speak for Olivia. So Olivia, if you
Oh,
watch
I
this,
know.
but
She's amazing.
because she was promoting hard, like so.
Yeah.
But you remember? I know I'm not shifting gears too hard, but you remember the TV show Silicon Valley?
Never watched. I know of it. I never watched.
I never watched. I only watched one episode because Joey told me to watch it. So
Okay.
if you guys remember, so for anybody that doesn't know, when we had Egg Drop, one of our services we offered was the ability to recognize a pornographic picture. So it the
bots. The bots.
well, no, so the bots was one thing, but so to all the people that are new, they're watching this. So our program could recognize a naked dude who had a schlong, and I'm sorry if this is G-rated. He had a schlong the size of like the entire profile picture. So it was getting bad. It was getting crazy. If so, all my ex family, if you think the bots are bad now, imagine full-blown naked pictures. They were allowing these naked because they didn't have. That's we'll talk about Elon in a second. So our program, Egg Drop, was able to recognize naked dudes holding their schlongs.
Yeah.
Okay, and once it saw the picture, it would take them out. So
wow.
So the hashtag that I think Joey started, it. The hashtag he did was not hot dog or no hot dog. It was not hot dog or no hot dog. Okay, so here's the funny thing. Joey decided, we can't afford to do this. It's just too expensive because every time somebody used it, it was $5 per click or per use. So it was very expensive. So anybody that knows anything about tech, Joey didn't write code for that. I think he used what they call an API. So it's like a something. I forget. Somebody can look it up. It's a program interface or something. But anyways, you pay to use someone else who wrote the code for that.
Okay.
So, but we offered anyways. It was too expensive. We got rid of it. Yeah. It was a great service. It was a great service, and it was pretty because we tested it. I don't think we actually tested the product to see if it worked. So I forget who did it. I think so. Part of our, and I'm probably embellishing the story, but so
somebody went live and decided to kind of try this out.
So Egg Drop, I think Egg Drop, we had 3 employees.
Schlong,
we had
open schlong.
We had 3 employees that were paid employees, and we had stock options in the company, and then we had 10. I think we had 15 ambassadors who we had compensated in various ways because we couldn't afford to pay, obviously. But anyways, so we used a team to impersonate these porno bots with his big schlongs, and then so our egg bots would recognize and ban those people. So here's the story. Once we got rid of the service, it's like, you know what, it's too expensive. Our hashtag not hot dogs. There, I swear, within like a couple of weeks, maybe a month or maybe 2 months after we got rid of that service, on Silicon Valley, the Chinese guy who's the actor, he's a very popular actor. He developed an app that would recognize food. So the gimmick was you take a picture of your food and it'll identify the food for you. And every time he took a picture of food, it would never recognize what the food was. It would always just say, "Oh, it's not a hot dog." Every picture he took, not hot dog. And Joey, I think it was Joey. Joey met. He said, "Dude, you gotta look at this. They stole our idea." And I was like, "There's no way. How do they know?" So I watched the episode, bro. I'm telling you.
So some PA is sitting there watching some stream on Periscope, and then sees not hot dog, and then holy schmockles, I got a stick. He goes to the writers and runs with it.
That's our story, and we're sticking with it. But we did do it first. But so what I did learn about the tech industry, other than how they're played with teams, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but they are played with teams, and they don't want to hurt each other's feelings. But they're also played with stealing everybody's ideas and running with it.
Oh yeah.
And so to get back to the whole the bot issue.
Oh yes, that's
bots. So people were crying about how Elon fired 6,000 people. I think maybe
there's a big handful of them, man.
Let's just say 5,000 people.
Yeah.
So there's 2 issues with that. They said, how can you fire 5,000 people by email And I was thinking, well, first of all, how do you fire 5,000 people? You pull, hey, it's
Step to my office.
come to my office. And
Yeah.
after you, I'm going to talk to the 4,999 people. That
Next.
So the second part is, how can you have 8,000 employees and still have bugs from 2016?
Right.
So if I go on iOS right now and I go live and I do the sketch feature
Yeah.
on my iPhone 14 Pro Max, a $1,500 cell phone, and I go live on Twitter Live right now, X Live, and I type with the sketch, why is it still typing it backwards?
Wow.
It's been 7 years now.
So what's new is old again, or what's old
So
is new.
why? My point is, why? What are the 6,000 employees doing?
Yeah.
That boggles my mind. And I'm not being
Like
negative, but
salary.
so I'm totally fine. Like if he had to
Yeah.
make the changes, So,
Right.
but yeah. So not hot dog is our claim to fame. That's our.
No hot dog. Yeah, that's
So here's a question: What are
Yes.
your thoughts on live streaming? Number one,
Mhm.
and who's going to win between Twitch and X?
Ooh. Ooh. What are my thoughts of live streaming? Well, Twitch, where I'm at right now, is a very it doesn't really personify community at all in any way, shape, or form. It's a very vast bandwidth of stuff, primarily gaming, not limited to gaming. I think the reason why people are reluctant to come onto Twitch to watch myself or Randy Horton or a lot of other regulars who jump on is because of the fact that they think that, Twitch is just that thing where someone's playing Grand Theft Auto for 12 hours straight, or they're playing Diablo 4, or they're, doing some, video gaming or whatever, gaming. And it's not. So that's, I think, the biggest disconnect there. Secondly, even within the bandwidth of just chatting or talk shows and podcasts, it's a very limited, I'm like a pin in a haystack that encompasses the world. I mean, a lot of people, it's hard to find people. Despite me putting stuff up on X and on Instagram and other socials where I'm like, hey, I'm still live streaming. This is my 9th year. Of the 10,000 that were on Scope that followed me, and then the 10,000 that were following me on Haps, I have maybe 1,300 followers, of which maybe 200 watch regularly, maybe. So I think the problem with live streaming, Twitch is good if you're a younger demographic. There's another live streaming app that's in betaware right now called Kick, and that's even more. It's not even regulated compared to Twitch. It's more of the Kick app is more of a Wild West mentality, where it's survival of the fittest pretty much. There's really no moderation. The monetization apparently is supposedly better, but it's not as stable. Randy Horton tried it. A couple of other people I know have tried it. I have the app. I have a handle there. I just have never gone live there. And as of right now, I really don't have any intentions on doing so, because I'm kind of in the older Generation X demographic. I'm not a 20.
How old are you?
I'm 58. I'll be 59 in May.
You age well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't age like cheese. You age more like fine wine, if you will.
I was watching. So I didn't do Catalyst Wednesday. I worked late, and then I had some family stuff I wanted to take, and I was just tired. I was wiped out. So I put an old Golden Squirrel Awards nomination special up
I remember that
on Wednesday night, and it was our last one in 2020, and I looked a lot younger. I didn't have like this here, or this here, I comb my hair straight back, so you're getting the real deal. I'm not going to do one of these. Hey, I'm going to try to do a comb over. I can't. There's nothing to comb over anymore. I do have gray hair. Not as much of it. They should.
Shut up. That's not even, bro. This is like, what the heck? I had this for like 20 years already.
But at any rate, Kick is a younger demographic. And then the other part of your question, you said, where's the future of live streaming? And then what was your other question? I forgot completely.
Who wins?
Who was that?
Who wins?
Oh, between X and Twitch.
Yeah.
It's a good battle. I mean, it's basically between Amazon and X right now. So it's Elon versus what's his name over there at Amazon?
Bezos.
Yeah, George Bezos. They're gonna coexist, and if you really want to put a third wheel into there, the Threads thing just isn't working for Mr. Zuckerberg right now. So what they may want to do is do what the pros do: is you rebrand. What you do is you get rid of Facebook Live, number one. Secondly, if you're Mark Zuckerberg, you take Threads, which has no live streaming feature whatsoever. It's almost like they just put it out there just to put it out there, and it just became vaporware, and nobody ever goes to Threads anymore. Rebrand Threads with video. Give it all of the features. Give it the stuff that Haps had. Give it lower thirds, or give some of the stuff that StreamYard has here with the bug in the corner, or the scrolls that Greg was showing earlier, or the identifications of who's presenting or whatever. Put that in there. The ability of having like a video producer, having some sort of third-party software that will enable you to import videos so you can share them, or stills or whatever. Put comments in, do all that stuff. Monetization, that would be another big thing also for Mark Zuckerberg to utilize. So to answer your question, I think it's a three-way street right now between George Bezos and Amazon/Twitch, and Elon and Linda with X. And then you also have to factor into considerations if Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want to be the third wheel. He needs to rebrand Threads and make it where someone can simply go in there, go live on video, and stream it. And whether it be directly through Threads, or if you use like a third-party app like whatchamacallit, like
Stream Elements, or
not Elements, but what's the one that's on your phone? Prism.
Prism.
I use Prism. I don't know if my phone's going to do it. Like Prism's right here. So if I'm at like the Chicago Auto Show, I would use Prism to do my stuff, because
They should just buy them out. That's what they should do.
Yeah, they have the money to do it. Why not? And Prism isn't that big. Stream Elements is kind of the software that you can kind of put in your comments field. It can welcome people in. It can promote you if you want. If don't forget Catalyst Wednesday's coming up, or a special GLO sessions coming up next week with Elon. There'll be those options. I mean, so I think it's a three-way battle, Greg, between X, between Twitch, and ultimately it's going to be Facebook/Threads if Mark Zuckerberg rebrands Threads.
I think if we go based on freedom of speech, if that's even the right, X wins on that department.
Okay.
But they don't have the framework that is polished or pretty. Like Twitch has an amazing framework and video quality, and like in my opinion, Jeff Bezos really, I'm not saying he screwed it up, but if they would open it up, if they open the floodgates to everybody else besides gamers and IRL type, if they open it up to where more people would feel comfortable doing it, and the fact that you can have your Amazon Prime products listed, so we're talking about Marine and getting work and a job, and one of the things that I learned from Bo Cody, if you guys remember Bo Cody, he was in Hawaii. He was the first guy to do. He's the reason why I did wave scopes, and he actually did it much better than I did, because he would take it on a whole nother level. Like, he really got worked.
Oh, wow.
I just pretended I got worked, but I did get worked a few times in a ways. But anyways, he was telling us, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but he says, why would you put all your eggs in one basket? He said, create a landing page, create a website, create a way for the people that like you to follow you wherever you go. And so that's why I have a website. It's because of him. And
Oh, cool.
my website has changed, but over the years, but like I sell t-shirts and coffee cups and stickers, and I try to change it ever so often. Now I don't make a lot of money, but I make money,
Right.
and it's free. Like I don't have to buy inventory. And so the fact that I have to do that, it's an extra step, and I just did it because I don't want to wait or try to do all these metric manipulations that people are doing to
Right.
get into good graces of almighty algorithm up in the sky, which I get it. It's good content. They're putting out good content about teaching how to create content. I get that.
Right.
But if I got to do all this extra work just to like monetize myself, which is I'm totally fine with it. Bro, Twitch has it already set up where you can do that. If I wanted to, just upload my designs to Amazon. They have all the product. People can, because who does not shop Amazon Prime?
Exactly.
Who does? I mean, come on,
Right.
brah. But now, if Elon decides to invest more labor, what's the word? Resources into the live video and the monetization model, other than like who's going to get 5 million impressions? It's going to be the elite group of people that.
Yeah. And it's going to be a microcosm of what a lot of live streaming media is like now. It's the haves and the have-nots. There's no middle ground.
Now, it is possible. I am on track to get somewhere in that department. I don't have a time frame, but
Yeah.
the thing is, why not just like I apply for subscriptions, which you got it so quick in Twitch, right? Like people can subscribe to you already if they wanted to, right? $5
Yeah.
a month or whatever. So that's one. I subscribe to Judy in Maui, Judy Tiki Tales,
Oh, yes. Tiki Tales. Yes.
and I think hers is only like $3 a month. I'm like, I'll support her for $3 a month. Like that's a no brainer. Like
Right.
that should just give all your creators, no matter how big or small, let them just give it to them. Let them have it's bringing in money.
Right.
Now, if X offers merch sales within the app itself, then I think it's a game over. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think Elon and Linda are still in the preliminary stages of running out what seems to be kind of a vaster, wider thing as far as not only live streaming features, but like you said, also kind of like a shopping experience. I don't know if it's gonna be like an Amazon Prime, that magnitude, but I mean something that would tie in, being a full experience.
Now,
And
she did promise the
marketplace thing.
yeah, and the currency, so the cryptocurrency. She
Oh,
did.
yes. That
They
was the
did
other one
make
too.
yeah, they did make that public, and so
Right. So
I
that
don't
could be interesting. I want X to succeed, though. I mean, there's always a part of me. I'm always comparing everything to Periscope.
Well, here, look, somebody said, and I responded. So somebody said Elon tanked Twitter the day that he bought it. He brought it down to like X billion dollars or whatever. And so I responded, like, okay, first of all, he overpaid. Like, who pays 46 whatever 40? It's just say who pays 40 billion for a company that's not even making money?
Yeah.
Twitter hasn't made money, I think, in 3 years from the day that he bought it. Like, it was a non-profit organization, like literally. So I responded to that how they say that he tanked it, but it's like, okay, first of all, like when we bought shares in Twitter, it was at $16, and then it went up to like when we sold, it was like I think 38 or whatever, like I think $40.
Yeah.
But before Elon got it, I don't know what it was, but I know it hit like $50-$60 at one point. But it's like they weren't making money. Like, so get rid of 6,000 employees, start from ground zero. I believe it's already successful just from what I've seen. Now, it's not what we want, obviously.
Yeah.
But I do I agree with you. I want it to succeed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, the thing I also don't understand is when you allow uncensored video or uncensored content out there. I mean, I think people just need to be wise and smart and use their own judgment to determine what's fact and what or fiction and what's reality. It's no different than when you grab your remote and you turn on your television and you get suckered into seeing and hearing everything that you believe on television. You can't do that on any social media either. Use your brain, go with your own conscience. Don't get suckered into someone else's opinion. Go with your heart and don't jump the gun and start. People shouldn't point fingers at each other and making false assimilations before they investigate and research things before they go back out in public. Otherwise, it's just going to be toxic.
So you remember Roseanne Barr, right?
Yeah.
So she did a podcast with Theo Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
She's Jewish, right?
Mm-hmm.
She made a comment. I watched the podcast. So they were joking. They were talking about how there's lies being spread all the time, and she said, "Yeah, we all know that. I think she said we all know that assassinations were fake, and all these people there was all government propaganda, and we all know that the Jews didn't really die. Nobody killed the Jews." And she was joking. Well, the next day or two, YouTube pulled that podcast off of YouTube. No explanation. So we know that there's that. So Theo Vaughn decided to upload that video to X. And no repercussions. Like, hey, I was like, hey, great. If you want to put it up, go ahead. It's like you said, look, if you don't agree with it, use your brain, research it yourself, but give them a platform to put it out there, because whether it's truth or not, we should have the freedom to say what we want to say without having it pulled.
Yeah. I mean, after the first, everything else is second. That's what I always say, as my late father-in-law would say.
Say it again.
After the first, everything else is second.
Yeah.
That was my late father-in-law, Maureen's dad.
So I saw a picture of your mom. She
yes.
Happy 99th heavenly birthday.
What was that?
It said happy 99th birthday or something.
Oh,
like
my
that.
mom in heaven. Yes. My mom
Yeah.
passed. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Because my mom passed away, 95? My dad, believe it or not, back on August 29th, passed away 30 years ago. So next year will be 30 years for my mom. So there's always a little part of my mom and a little part of my dad and me that will live on forever, and no one's going to be able to take that away from me. Whenever September 22nd rolls around, the part of me that's like, some people at work call me Smiling Jim, because I'm always, always smiling. It's a nervous thing. It's a social anxiety thing. I always go, hey, how you doing? Like I'm right now. But my mom was like that. That's the Irish side of Jim. That and the bad teeth. Yes, bad teeth, Irish Catholic, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, so Irish teeth, that's the Irish. The only thing about me and my personality, and always smiling, that's the Irish side of me. Rest of me, the brown hair, the pale complexion, the brown eyes, skinny, except with the beer gut. That's Czech. That's the Surin name. The Regan side lost. But yes, my mom passed away. It'll be 30 years next year. She was the second of 8 in her family.
So how many siblings do you have?
I'm the youngest of 4. My oldest sister is 75. My late brother would have been 73. My other sister is 64. Well, technically, in about an hour and 4 minutes yesterday, and I'm 58.
Wow, you're the baby.
I'm the baby. Yeah. So it's and how many brothers and sisters you have?
I just have one, and that's why I'm here.
Hey,
He's all I've got,
right on.
So here's a question. So with all your flaws that you mentioned, because I got some flaws, but I'll share mine in a second.
Yeah.
Why do you live stream?
Oh God.
What makes you so confident to go turn that camera on with all your flaws, with your crooked teeth and your balding scalp, and like?
I'm not afraid to spill my guts. I am totally, and I've learned this the hard way through my trials and tribulations of live streaming, and how there were a couple times where I almost quit live streaming completely.
Yeah, I remember you said I quit. I
was
remember I was gonna make fun of you, but I think I don't know if Jim can take it right. But I was gonna make a video. Oh, I'm just gonna quit. Nobody wants to watch me.
Yeah, that was because when I first started going live on Periscope, we were playing volleyball, and I don't think anybody in this room remembers me streaming my softball or volleyball games.
I do not.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God. The only time we had viewers was when my friend Lily was playing volleyball with us. My friend Lily would wear like a little string top, and of course Merhaba and Open Bobs.
Oh yeah, Merhaba. Hey, dude, make those shirt one. Have I can't put it up there. I don't think I can.
Open and
dude, have your wife. I told Tala the same thing. Go on a Teespring, bro. Go on a Canva, make a design, and make T-shirts Merhaba and Open Bobs. Privyet. Yeah, dude, you make some money. Like, dude, even if you make like $50 a month, dude, that's free money, dude. Like,
I'll
not free money.
put my wife to work on that Monday morning.
No, I told my wife.
I told my wife for you.
I said, honey, I need you to help me. Like, come up with these. So my wife, she's a business mate. She actually went. So my wife is a stay-at-home mom, but she's working on her master's degree in business. So I told her, honey, like when you graduate, you're not going to go work corporate. You're going to be a CEO of our company. But in the meantime, can you design some T-shirts for me? So, our wives are like, they got some business street cred, man. Let's have them design some stuff for us.
Some side hustle. Telling you, we're onto something. Let me tell you something. I've got a sizzle here. It's going to be good. It's going to make lots of money. No,
that's right. You got to work harder. Come on, you can do it, Jim. You and Maureen, let's do it.
See, this is when I start squirreling on stuff here. Hey,
bro, I'm the king of my last. Okay, here's the shame. So how we say shame. Here's the shame part. Like, I went to a class today on space. I call it class. His name is Tim. I shared it. I call him Dr. Tim, but great man, great broadcaster. Just beautiful voice. He teaches how to public speak, like speak public, whatever. I watched my last broadcast before this one. I was cheat. This is what I will do. I say, hey Jim. So I'm gonna tell you about the time I went to China. We went on a big airplane. Oh, and by the way, the wall over there, the bug I get like all kind of paint on top. And so how much money did you make, Jim? About 3 subjects within 2 minutes. I'm like, what the heck? And I said like 50 billion times.
Oh God, I do verbal pauses all the time.
So now I'm
ums and ers. Yeah, I do that.
But here's the deal. Like, and I shared it today. Like, on this, I don't care. No, I don't care.
Yeah,
because I know it's real, and I'm okay. Now, if you put me, if I'm going to preach on a Sunday morning, or if I'm going to do a conference, I have notes. I have an iPad. I have my presentation, so I stay on task. So I do change. But people here, they don't know, oh, this guy's a terrible speaker. He chases squirrels and he stutters all the time. Like, oh, yeah, I probably do. So I don't care. So
if you're a pastor and you're presiding over hundreds of people.
Well, here, look, I receive what you said. Like, so we talk about crooked teeth. I'm balding over here. People don't see that, but I have crooked teeth. So I have a rule. I don't ever talk sideways because it shows. Yeah.
Those are called shark teeth.
This beard is always crooked, and this mustache doesn't match. So left and right are 2 different lenses. So
I got 5 o'clock where I got 1 a.m. shadow. No, but so basically, answer your question way back before I squirreled. I've been infatuated with electronic and print media for as long as I could remember. I have my very first transistor radio within arm's length of me, where I can show this right here and show you my very first transistor radio when I was in grade school. Here it is. And it still works, kind of.
What?
And it's in the basement, so it's not pulling anything in. But it's an old Admiral radio that used to hang on the 5-speed Schwinn back in the 70s. And I loved my parents, but they were very overprotective. They kind of realized what they did with my brother and my sisters, and they said, we're not going to make sure that it happens to Jimmy. So they became helicopter parents, and they picked my friends, and it was very narrow. So I grew up watching a lot of television, listening to a lot of radio, and my mom worked for a newspaper. So I was infatuated with electronic and print media for as long as I could remember, because that was like the only thing outside of the house and my immediate circle of friends that I knew outside of school. And then that became something that happened in high school. I took television production classes in high school. I applied at Arizona State University because I loved the Cronkite School over there. I got accepted at ASU, and then my dad got laid off my senior year. And then I went to Columbia College in Chicago, where I pursued a broadcast communications degree, worked at the college radio station. And
Columbia?
Yeah. And when I was I wanted to work for the school paper there. And when they told me that I was not eligible to work for the paper because I worked for the radio station, I started my own underground newspaper and used my mom's real newspaper, to help print out 200 copies of a biweekly newspaper for the Columbia College students in Chicago. And then from there, I went to work at a horse racing facility called Arlington Park, worked in the television department there, did voiceovers, did videos, did editing, cameras, lighting, sound gear. And then I started in sales, and here I am to this day. But the problem was I couldn't create. After I left the track, I was in sales.
Right.
I couldn't create. So I had all these ideas in my head and nowhere to put them. So in April of 2015, all the news networks are talking about Hillary and Trump, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, politics. Meanwhile, there's a court case in Baltimore, Maryland, where police are being acquitted for supposedly doing wrongdoings to a kid on the west side of Baltimore. The cops are acquitted, and half of Baltimore is burning down. Fox, CNN, MSNBC, they're all showing Hillary or Trump or both, talking heads. You've got one channel, back then Larry King was still on CNN. I'm Larry King. Coming up next, we're going to talk with, Oprah Winfrey. And then you'd have, Sean Hannity over there on Fox, and then you'd have Rachel Maddow over on MSNBC. Meanwhile, half of Baltimore is burning down.
Right.
So I read about in the Wall Street Journal's website, there was a new app that people were using their phones to go live, and it was called Periscope. I don't have my live. I have a screenshot of the first scope I ever watched. It was the west side of Baltimore, a convenience store getting looted. And it was being scoped live by somebody from the Guardian newspaper out of Ireland. And west side of Baltimore is Baltimore in general. I love Baltimore. I love the ocean air in Baltimore. I love the Little Italy part of Baltimore. But where this gentleman was at, let's just say he should not have been there.
Mm-hmm.
He was reporting the news like this on Periscope, and they're just taking out old OE800. They're taking out St. Ides. They're taking out smokes, and they're taking out whatever they could out of the store. He is streaming this, and there's a big dude in the front of the store like this, with his arms folded, making sure that with a piece like this, with his gun like that. And hello, excuse me, sir. I'm from the Guardian in Dublin, and I just want to understand, why are these people taking all of this stuff out of this store? And he's live streaming this live. And people in the chat, and I'm seeing this on Periscope for the first time, on the chat, and it's like
Exploding.
It's, you're gonna get shot. Get out of there. You're gonna get jacked. And then he's like, turn that off. And he's like, I just want to know, why is this because of the hearing and the verdict? And turn it off. And then sure enough, thing went black. The feed ended. So I started looking around and had the map. I'm looking for more. And there's people out there breaking into stores, torching police cars. Meanwhile, CNN's talking about Larry King. You know what, Oprah? I think Hillary Clinton will be the best president ever for this country in 2016. But I'm also going to talk about those prostate pills. And then Sean Hannity's over there. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Talking heads, political crap back and forth. And meanwhile, I had to go to a live streaming app to see it happen. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to go live and do something, but I need to find a way to create something. And I didn't know what to put on. I couldn't find news. News wasn't going to find me in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. You know what? It's sports. I'll go show my volleyball team. Maybe there's other volleyball players that might like to watch us play volleyball. 2 views, 3 views, 4 views. And then my friend Lily says, "What are you doing with your phone, Jimmy?" She's from Colombia, from South America. I'm like, "I'm live streaming." I go, "Want to go live check?" "I don't want to be on your phone. I'm not going to be on there." So I put the phone on the side of the volleyball net. And then all of a sudden, the 2 or 3 views became 20, 30 views. And I'm like, "What happened?" I go, "Lily, go back on the court. They like you're playing." "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, go back out there. I'll coach." I had my friend RJ go in there to sub for me. So I had Arita, Lily, Chris, and my friend RJ were playing, and I just videotaped it. Go after the girl in the white tank top. Go on the girl in the white string top or whatever. Open, Merhaba, welcome. And that's when I got hooked. And I started doing it ever since. I mean, she never liked being on there. The volleyball team broke up that summer. But I've been streaming ever since.
That was a test that we did. If you remember Joanne Pham.
Yes.
So I think it was her and Kama. So they did a test, right? They did one broadcast with her wearing a tank top.
Mhm.
And she got thousands upon thousands of views, and then the one with a regular shirt, and nobody watched. It was so funny.
Like a baggy T-shirt.
Yeah, like a
Hey,
grandma shirt.
Yeah, but it took some traction. I think the key thing was just to be in the chat with a lot of people, like Sandy Choi. People like when I would see my comments in Sandy's stuff, or I'd jump on Ron Waxman's casts at night, or I would be on with Rice and Spam, or I'd be on with Dave in Osaka, or I'd be on with like Chicago Dave was the iconic scoper on the Periscope live streaming app here in Chicago. Every morning he did the morning herd. He'd get off the train.
Yeah.
And he'd go over the Chicago River and watch all the people walk to all the different offices through the loop. And Dave was as nice in person as he appeared on Scope as well. Very nice guy.
Do you remember Shailene Johnson? Do you ever watched? So she used to be on Periscope when it first started gaining traction. She's the inventor or the founder of, I think, the Miami Beach workout or something. I forget, it's Miami something. So she made a lot of money in the exercise video industry, and she was on Periscope. And she offered a course that I actually took.
Oh, wow.
And she through Periscope on her website, and she just taught concepts and principles on how to maximize your time on social media. And I preach this every time I get an opportunity, is if you're going to live stream, like, give us something.
Yeah.
There has to be a takeaway.
Right.
Make us laugh, teach us something, keep us entertained, but for the love of God, give us something to walk away from that I can say I learned something, I laughed, or all of the above. There was a broadcaster, she actually was a part of our team. So after Egg Drop fizzled, we formed another company called, it was a cryptocurrency company. And so we had a team of people, and Sadia, I don't know if you remember her, but she was great. Oh, she was awesome.
Yeah,
like,
very good.
She would just sit there in front of the phone, look at your comments, and just talk about it.
Yeah.
And she's actually a very successful business owner. She was actually one of the top, the top Amazon business owners. She was recognized, her and her business partner. I think one of the things they invented or marketed was these roll-up shoes that you could roll up and put in your purse.
Oh, wow.
It was genius.
Nice.
And then there's another guy. Look, like even Ron Waxman, as much as that guy was a thorn in my side, I copied him. I ain't gonna lie. I took notes from him.
Yeah.
No, I didn't use his attitude, but
But the views that he had were spectacular, and how he can interact with comments and show you sights and sounds of New York City at the same time, which was at the moment was state of the art. And that's
very engaging.
Yeah.
Very
love that. I mean, I
Did
he
you
was
ever meet him in person?
no, I did not. Well, I was supposed to, but he had to go to a because he was a sports agent. He had to go
Yeah.
meet with a client in Florida when I was in New York City. Um, I met, oh my goodness, I met Joey Giggles from Thunder Crew.
Is he in New Jersey?
Joey Giggles is in, oh, is he in Brooklyn or Staten Island? He's
Oh.
in Brooklyn. Joey Giggles and Joey 67 or Brooklyn Joey are both in Brooklyn.
Now, is Joey Giggles he used to have a lot of followers on Twitter, and then I think they closed his account or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, he is very political on our, that was kind of
Well,
the reason behind
he was
Thunder.
very medical when I first met him, and then he went from medical to political.
Yeah. And we had pretty much, that's why I brought him on the Thunder Crew. I met him through Perry Dudes, obviously. He was medical, which I thought he had a really open story
Yeah,
and a
the
really unique
Lyme
story.
disease, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted him on there. I mean, Thursdays were just so messed up because it was like, it was a slice of dysfunctional Americana. And I think that's what made that night very, or the Thunder Crew very unique and compelling. After we had Perry Girls with Joanne and Perry Girls, we had Perry Dudes with you and Kama and in that group. Then after the last of the Perry Dudes, I would jump on do Passed Out because people were tired of passing a cast for 3 hours. Everyone can come back. We'll do an after event and we'll hang out. We'll chat. And then it became another train after the trains. Joey wanted to go on after me, so Joey came on. And then after Joey, Genevieve got wind of things. So we had Genevieve from San Francisco jump on.
I met her.
I wanted to meet her. She is so cool.
Bruh. And look, it's no secret that she did scopes of just drinking. Okay,
yeah.
so I'm gonna share this because it's actually public. It's all public video, so I'm not talking trash.
Fine.
I love her. At the time though, I was
She cracked me
stressed
up.
because this was in so we were literally a block away from Twitter headquarters.
Yeah.
And my whole agenda that week, I told Joy, look, we're gonna do this, but I want to see if we can get into Twitter HQ and drop this at the door. That was my whole mind, my whole frame of mind. And
Wow.
so I was a little bit, I was having fun. I think Joey was better at having fun than I was. I may have appeared to be like, oh, I'm the Mr. Aloha guy, but the truth is I was kind of stressed a little bit. And then here comes Genevieve in our presentation. So we rented a loft. I think it was a loft. It had, the screens and all that. Everybody had their cell phones and cameras out. We live streamed everything.
Yeah.
We showed off our product.
Mhm.
But here comes Genevieve, and she's got a whole, like, I don't know how many. If she can protect herself or do a rebuttal if she ever sees this, and I'll message her or whatever. I have nothing but love for her, but it was like,
Me too.
I was at a place where like, bro, keep it professional in my mindset. Here she's bringing his wine bottles.
Cheers.
Yeah, like what the heck? I'm thinking, but you know what? I learned a lot, and it was a great experience. But Genevieve, she was funny.
It was just, that's what I liked about Periscope, because you get somebody who was chill. Next person would get political. The next person would be like just vibing and just relaxing. And that's why we did have, after Jen, we have Quinn for the Win come on.
Oh yeah, she's
Quinn
in
from Sacramento. Yes.
Yeah.
And I forgot how I met her. I didn't meet her in person, but I remember seeing one of her casts, and she jumped on like Thursday Night Thunder during its infancy. And
who started Thursday Night Thunder or Thunder Crew? Who founded that?
I created that.
Okay.
That was basically, we did our own train. I think what happened was I scrolled a lot on Perry Dudes back in the day. Perry Dudes, for our viewers, was basically kind of a spinoff of Perry Girls, which Joanne Pham, aka Go Rice School, created. They were basically 5 to 10 minute casts on Perry Girls on one topic, and it was a chance for the community in Periscope, the live streaming app back then, to kind of introduce themselves, get followers, and then briefly explain their perspective on a given topic that was set by the Perry Girls leadership team. And then one year, probably later in 2016, the following year, Kama, which was Slice of Spam, and Joanne Go Rice Girl, Rice and Spam, Kama's like, you know what? I want to create like a group for the guys.
Well, were you in on that meeting, the initial meeting?
I was not, but
So
I
I
was
was-
on the scope with Joanne and Kama, and I was in the
So before that one, we did a Zoom meeting.
I was on that. Oh,
You wasn't? Oh, okay, yeah. So we had a Zoom meeting, all professional,
cool.
and we all had thrown our, our ideas and
Yeah.
But Joanne, Perry Girls was the largest online community for women on social media,
Yes.
like club.
Yep.
I think
Exactly.
they had 12 or 14,000 total,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of a membership base, which is huge.
Yeah.
And it was legit. Like they were actually actively supporting one another.
Yep.
So here's a question: do you think we could do something like a I don't know, what would you call it? Like not pass a pass. You can do pass the cast, or what would you
Mhm.
call it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You think it would work?
Oh, like
Oh.
now?
Give me.
Oh, back then. Yeah.
Let me hug my boy real quick.
Oh. See you, bro. So you guys were all on a Zoom call, and you guys created this thing. It was you, Kama, and anybody else was in there?
There's a
Sean
lot of
Olivares or
There was a
anybody?
lot of guys. Some guys became very successful at. I can't remember the names now. Barry Selby was in that.
Oh,
meeting.
Dr. Barry Selby, the love doctor. Yeah. Yes.
That guy
He was
cracks
so
me up.
cool. I love that guy.
Yeah, Barry's voice. He's got that British accent. I'm like,
I'm Dr. Barry Selby.
I'm the love doctor.
50 ways to
Become feminine with the male perspective, or something
That's
like
right.
that.
That was Kama's thing. Guys, what I want you to do is offer your perspective on this given topic. And unfortunately for my case, one episode, I did not. I squirreled for about 15 minutes and talked about 30 seconds on the topic. So Kama goes on to close Perry Dudes. And Kama's like, I'm putting down the gauntlet. Stay on topic or you're out of Perry Dudes. And I'm like, then I called Kama up and I'm like, hey, listen, I am really sorry. And that's when I said, I'm going to do, because we want to get Perry Dudes to grow, we want to get other guys to jump on the trains. And I
Yeah.
felt like I was taking up too much time to begin with. Anyway, I was going to jump on and support people in the comments field, but I also didn't want to squirrel. So I was like, I'm going to do an after event with myself, and I'll just do my own thing after, like a Perry Dudes after event. And then it'd be like you or Kama, Sean, somebody would always be like the closer. What was the other guy from Thunder Crew that we took? It was he lived in Orange County and he moved out east to Pennsylvania. I'll remember his name in a second. So that's how Thunder Crew was conceived. It was
Okay.
basically people from Thunder Crew would come over. I would have my whiteboard.
I remember, yeah.
It hasn't. This is the original whiteboard that used to be up on the easel back over there, back in the day. But it's been locked in time because it wasn't Thursday Night Thunder, because I broke up Thunder Crew. I became the Thursday Roundtable. But we used to sit there and promote or plug people who I thought that were worth following. And Quinn for the Win was one of them. And she wanted to be a part of the Thunder Crew vibe. And we brought her on. So Thursday Night Thunder was basically a train. Myself, Joey Giggles, Genevieve. So you had post Perry Dude stuff. You had Joey Giggles, political stuff, which pissed everyone off. And Genevieve was the complete opposite. She's like, Joey, I love you, but I hate you. Cheers. And then she'd just get hammered. And then Quinn would come by and just make everyone peaceful and happy at the end of the night.
Yeah, she would pull out the whole Zen. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we expanded to Fridays and Sundays and everything. But
So
That was-
Tala said trains worked because we had a separate app. I don't know if it would work without the community. Well, to answer that, I would say it would work here if we all agreed to do it.
and we'd have to build up an audience to do it too. Getting people to come to, in my case, to Twitch was like, it's still, I feel like I've flatlined with viewers in my group because a lot of people aren't live streaming anymore, or they don't watch live streams. They're more obsessed with, Netflix or, Prime Video or something. But I would be game for it if we did it.
Well, before we go there, here's an honest question, and I ask myself this all the time: if nobody's watching the live,
Oh yeah. Right.
number one, and I'm going to answer the question too. Number one, do you take it personal? And number two, do you take responsibility for that after?
When there's not many people watching or at all.
Yeah.
I used to. Now I don't care because, like I said, talking to you and Tala is like worth its weight in gold right there. I mean, I would normally be just ending my trivia night tonight. We'd have like 20 left in the room on a Saturday night, pretty much with trivia. If I was doing Catalyst, we'd have like maybe a dozen, but I don't go on late with Catalyst at all. Football's even worse. I never even bother. I get like maybe a max of like 10, 12 viewers in my football casts on Thursdays. But I expect smaller. I mean, when I expect smaller audiences, it doesn't surprise me because it's Twitch. You're going to either have, unless someone has like a hot tub or a pool nearby
Mhm.
and tassels, then there's going to be a lot of people in the room. But unfortunately, when you got a 58-year-old guy, that's in a room like this, and it's not slamming my soul for self-deprecation. I think it's just fact. And you kind of accept it, you move on. The key thing is just not to give up.
And maybe shift, because I never did this. Like I did do podcast style, but that's not what I always did. Like if you remember, I would sit my dad down in the room and I'd say, "Dad, let's share your story."
Mhm.
That was a podcast, but back then we didn't call it that. It was just like, "Hey, I like you guys meet my dad. This is my dad. He survived a tsunami. He doesn't have fingers." That was how I share my dad.
Right.
But
Or
now,
open your fridge. Show us what's inside your fridge.
so but tomorrow, if my dad is up to it, I'm gonna not make him. I'm gonna put him on a sofa. I'm gonna put the camera out there with the lights and say, "Dad, let's talk story." And I have the mic. So I take it personal, but not in a negative way. I take it personal because I want to come up with a solution, and I do take responsibility for it. What I do know that after we end the broadcast,
Yeah.
this is what I do differently now. Is that I'm gonna take the audio and we can land the plane if you're okay with that in about 8 minutes or less. But
Yeah. I'm getting sleepy. It's 1:30.
yeah, so let's end it. Let's land the plane. But this is what I'm doing: is that I'm uploading the audio to my Spotify
Oh, cool.
because I know that there's people that they don't want to sit here and watch me. They rather listen in the
Of
car.
course. That's cool.
YouTube is already being uploaded as we speak in
Nice.
1080p.
Beautiful.
What else? Twitch, which
Meerkat.
nobody watches my Twitch.
Blab.
But
No?
but somebody's watching it, one or two people.
How about Blab or Meerkat? Anyone in there?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
But what's the and then so Twitter X in the next day or two we'll have about maybe 1,000 viewers that watch,
That's cool.
but the impressions are going to be considerably higher. And I'm learning that the impressions are kind of I'm not going to say it's a glamour metric. It can be used as a glamour metric, but
It's
it is.
inflated.
Well, no, it's a real metric, but
Oh.
it's not. It's not. So if you look at analytics, metric impressions
Yeah.
are like if I drive by your house and I see a billboard and like, oh, that look cool.
Yeah.
That would be an impression. But if I actually stop and I look
Mhm.
at the billboard and I knock on your door, hey Jim, can I have one of those T-shirts you're selling? So that would be considered an actual view.
Yeah.
Now that's how I interpret it. So in my eyes, like if I understand that, then I'm okay with that. That's me taking responsibility. I'm
I
gonna
see. Okay.
put my footprint out there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have about, I'm just gonna say we're gonna have about 3,000 to 5,000 impressions by the end of the week. Wait, what is today?
Today is the 12th.
So by Wednesday we'll have, well,
Yeah.
let's just say we'll have about 5,000 impressions.
Got it.
So that means that's how many people will actually see
Yeah.
the content. Now, if they actually click and watch the video, that'd be a different number.
Yeah. It'd be like someone just scrolling through it, and they just
Well,
like
the thing
like
is,
it.
my X, if I scroll and I forget to turn it off, every video will play.
Oh wow.
So I'll hear audio on every single video.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't discount the impressions, because sometimes they may hear, and if they like what they hear, then they'll tap in and
I gotcha.
so. But anyways, yeah, that's my thing. Let's end it with the whole pass the cast deal. I don't know. Let's do a DMs, and Tala, if you're interested, we'll talk about it. And even if it's just 3 or 4 of us, I do think Louise and Dave will be on board. I'm sure because they
That would
broadcast.
be
Yeah.
that would be so cool. I miss Louise.
Yeah.
She was super fun. And Dave, I was on Dave's Elvis Halloween special. That was fun to watch on here on Twitch. No question. There's really not many scoper. I mean, Randy Horton is a
Yeah.
regular scoper on here. I mean, there's some of the art community, there's some of them and everything. Pilot Mike's in the room. Jimmy and Greg, it's time to make the donuts. But I would love to do it. I mean, I think the key thing is to find a date and a time that works best for everybody. You and Tala are out there on the West Coast. Me being here in the Midwest, I could kick it off. But I mean, it depends on what night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's create a DM and then we'll talk about it. So let me go pay a bill real quick, aka show an ad. And
We
then
should.
I'll do a new one. I'll do a new one that I haven't done yet. But yeah, go ahead. Hey guys, do me a favor. If you like this content, go ahead and get yourself a tripod from Archon.com. They are one of our partners. I say our because I'm going to say Jim's going to get a partnership. But if you like it, you can get a promo code Hawaii. You get 20% off of whatever you buy from Archon. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the phone hitting me in the eyeball late at night watching those funny YouTube videos. If that's you, get you a tripod. I'm telling you. And I'm telling you.
I love this one. I've had this for God, and this thing is still working. I have 2 of these. Bought one about 2 years ago, and I bought one about this one's the OG. This is about 5 years old. This has been on many meetups. Tala has used this and touched this.
You know how many of those I've had? Because I would give them. I think I've had probably about 40 or 50 total, and most of it was out of pocket, which I don't mind. So, but I'm going to do a giveaway soon. So,
cool.
You know what? We'll talk after. So, let me do one more because I do value what you shared, Jim, and I just want to give people an opportunity, like. If they're going through, what did we say, Jim? What was that fancy word we used? Trauma, no, PTSD. If anyone's going through like PTSD or anything that requires some kind of counseling, go to nationalcentercsc.com. They are basically National Center of Counseling Services and Training. Dr. Terry Lynn Kemp, she is a clinical psychologist. She founded this. They're based in Nevada and also in Hawaii. Give them a call because nobody wants to be alone. And Jim was very open about him and Marie and how they've been through some stuff. And so if anybody's going through and you're in a dark place, do me a favor, go to nationalcentercsc.com, reach out to them, and do me a favor though, if you go into the contact form, just let them know that you watch this episode. That's how you found out about them. And we just don't want you to be alone because it sucks if you're going through something heavy and you don't want to do it alone. So that's that. I am done talking, Jim. I'm gonna let you close us out. Say whatever you want to say. We're gonna play my fancy video at the end, and then I'll say goodbye to you off air. We can still talk on this.
We'll go back in the green room later. Cool. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, do me a favor. Special thanks to Mr. Greg Lopez right over there, my good friend over there up in the Pacific Northwest. Make sure you are following and subscribing to this veteran live streamer, podcaster, all around great guy and a great friend who I've known organically. I've never met him in person, but sources tell me that we will definitely have to do that very soon. Once the economy gets a little bit better and I can fly places again. And definitely check out Greg's content on all socials, whether it be YouTube, here on Twitch, or over there on X as well. For myself, I've been a live streamer since 2015. A lot of that has to do with the fact that it ties in with my daughter's story. She's a leukemia survivor, diagnosed at the age of 2, went into remission at 5, and she's been cancer-free since 2011. Unfortunately, she had some epileptic seizures due in part because of her some of her chemo treatments that traveled to the back of her brain. She was 1 to 3 seizures a day. We created a law called Ashley's Law here in Illinois. If you Google Ashley's Law, Illinois, you'll hear about and see about and read about Ashley's story and how she went from being in a wheelchair and unable to speak and barely remember anything to having a photographic memory, be cancer-free, seizure-free, and being able to get back up to speed. And the best part is it's medicinal cannabis patches and TSOs that's basically saved her life. Again, you can Google Ashley's Law, Illinois. We have a little thing on there as well. And I still live stream. This is my 9th year of live streaming. So if you want, follow me over at Jim in Chicagoland over on Twitch. I do simulcast over to X. You'll see my feeds there, but I won't be able to see comments. So please follow and subscribe me here. And Greg, thank you so much for having me on. Greg, if you guys in the audience don't know, was one of the people who I watched for the very first time when I was looking at some live streams. And I always looked up to him as far as content and having fun and being a great father and a great friend. So, Greg, thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Man, thank you. Love you, brother. I'm going to close out with the victorious video that I had of you guys getting recognized and Ashley's Law, and then we'll do the closeout. Love you guys. Jim, love you. Thank you, brother. Of course, we'll talk at the closing. Love you guys. God bless you guys. Hui ho, aloha, and mahalo.
Medical marijuana program and opening it up to more patients. A signature by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker made the program permanent. The original pilot program was set to expire next year. 80,000 people are already enrolled. The new law adds another 11 conditions to include patients with migraines, chronic pain, and osteoarthritis. It's informally known as Ashley's Law. Ashley Surin got cancer at age 2. Chemo gave her epilepsy and seizures. Her mom says cannabis was her key to treatment.
And we couldn't beat those seizures that she kept having, and we tried many neuromedicines, and they said she needed to consume cannabis and go on a low-carb diet, and by gosh, they were right.
Pritzker also signed another bill that allows school nurses to administer cannabis to students who are registered medical